Hagerstown Ford continues to be your leader in car sales up and down the I-81 corridor. We will beat any and all competitors' prices, and we've made buying a new car easier than ever with one-day delivery better than Amazon and a return policy better than Walmart. Your satisfaction is our guarantee. If you don't like it, simply return it and we'll come pick it up. No questions asked. Why would you shop anywhere else? At Hagerstown Ford, we take great pride in our community and supporting our local student athletes. That's why Hagerstown Ford is the official car dealership of Shepherd Rams quarterback Tyson Bagent. Our remote buying process has made new car shopping so easy, you'll never even set foot in a dealership. Simply go to HagerstownFord.com and click on the car you want to buy it, or use the Axle Auto app. It's that easy. You can order your new car on any device. Go to HagerstownFord.com and get your new car signed, sealed, and delivered from Hagerstown Ford.
Good morning and welcome to the Talk Radio WRNR and TV10 Candidate Forum from the Holiday Inn in Martinsburg. Rob Mario here, and I am joined on our panel today by Steve Pearson from the Jefferson County Independent Observer and Maria Lawrenson as well from Hospice of the Panhandle and formerly with the Journal in Martinsburg too. We will be meeting our candidates who will be involved in the November 8 general election, and on this day it'll be a concentration on Jefferson County's candidates, and there will be a second forum that also includes Berkeley County candidates. And since the senatorial race between the incumbent Hannah Geffert and the challenger Jason Barrett straddles both county lines, both will be featured on each day, separately in Jefferson County Day and Berkeley County Day as well. Our format will be that each candidate will get a minute or so to introduce themselves and a minute or so at the end to close, and in between they'll be fielding questions from our panel here too. If the candidate's name or their voting record or something that came out during campaigning is invoked, they'll get an opportunity to respond to that as well. We ask, as we meet our candidates here, that you keep your opening remarks to roughly a minute or so, and we thank you very much, both of you, for being here. So we'll begin with District 99 House of Delegates race with the challenger Deborah Cornwell and the incumbent Wayne Clark. And Deborah, as the challenger, I invite you to go first with your opening statement to introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, everyone, for inviting us to the forum. My name is Deborah Cornwell, and I'm candidate for House of Delegates in the West Virginia 99th District, which is Jefferson County. I live in the 99th District with my husband, George Cornwell IV, my son, George Cornwell V, and my boxer dog, who is not George Cornwell VI. He is Emmett, who is a rescue and very beloved. My job is actually co-owner of Full Circle Healing Center, and this is not a plug for the business. It is it explains, who I am and what I do. We're a licensed behavioral health center. We treat addiction and mental health. We serve about 200 patients, and we are tapped out with our patient load, and that is a great indicator of how serious mental health and addiction is, and what a barrier it is to the prosperity of not only the 99th District, but to the state of West Virginia.
Thank you, Deborah. Wayne Clark.
Good morning. Thank you for putting on this debate. I enjoyed it last time, so thank you guys from WRNR Radio. My name is Wayne Clark. I am currently the House of Delegates representative for the 65th District, which is the city of Charlestown, Ranson area. In the new 99th District, that will be reduced down to the Charlestown area by itself. In my first 2 years as your delegate, I had 27 bills that I co-sponsored or sponsored that became law. I currently sit as the vice chair on tourism, economic development, and also sit on education, energy, small business, and Veterans Affairs committees. The bills that I've passed have covered everything from education to energy to Second Amendment rights to protecting the unborn. I believe in education choice for our kids, stronger online protection laws for our kids, and I also worked hard on removing the regulatory barriers for our restaurant and hospitality industry and reduced our tax burden. I hold a lot of different titles: husband, dad, small business owner, employer, mentor, and your representative of this House of Delegates. And I humbly ask to send me back to Charleston on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Clark. Let's begin our questions now with Steve Pearson. Steve?
Good morning, and thanks for being here. So I'll start with the incumbent, Mr. Clark. So as you said, you introduced, I think, 26 pieces of legislation during the last session. So could you give us a little overview of what legislation you might be thinking about introducing in the next session?
Obviously, once you get in, you realize that introducing legislation starts on the last day of the previous session. And beginning with working with local law enforcement here in the Eastern Panhandle and our municipalities, one of my, I guess, the biggest hurdle bill that we have is going to be a municipality retirement bill that's going to help change the parameters for our municipality police, reducing the number of years of service and age so that they can retire at a more reasonable age as for a police officer. Rather than having police officers out on the street that are 65 years old, we're going to help them retire a little bit earlier. It's a big ask because it's a big project that's going to have to incorporate many different facets of our legislature. Also, I have two other bills that are drafting. One is a cleanup, which is a changing the ability of ownership of the vape products and paraphernalia to match the federal law. Currently, right now, the federal law is 21. Our state law is 18. This is a cleanup process. And then, obviously, I'll be reintroducing the Child Online Privacy Protection Act that we worked on last year, and that is protecting our kids while they're online, giving the parents a little bit more control of what their kids are actually looking at while they're online.
But, so for the law enforcement retirement bill, do you have a sense of what the fiscal impact of that will be, and is that going to be borne by the municipalities, or is the state going to be supporting that?
So we've gone through and talked with several municipalities that are interested in making this transition, and a lot of these municipalities will be able to make some contribution to offset the cost. It does have a pretty decent fiscal note. So how we have the actual language, how it actually hits the floor, is going to be important. Once we sit down with Chairman Householder and go through the actual fiscal part of it. But we do have some buy-in from the municipalities.
So turning to Ms. Cornwell, so if you're elected, what legislation would you be championing in the next session?
My primary concerns, which are not just my concerns, but what individuals have come to talk to me about, local control is probably the #1 issue. We'd like to have our destiny in our control rather than just from the state legislature. #2 would be the mental health and addiction crisis, and #3 would be protecting children, particularly in the foster care system, as well as clean drinking water. It sounds like a soft issue, but it's really not. Clean drinking water is key to health of the citizens, and it's also key to industry, business, recreation, tourism.
And Deborah, if we could have you move a little closer to your microphone too, so everybody could
Okay.
hear you. Thank you.
Sure.
So in terms of, because obviously, as you said, you're an expert in mental health issues, what is the gap here in West Virginia? How many providers are missing, and how would we fund those or recruit those to the state?
We at Full Circle Healing Center are a private LLC, so it's a business for us. Our patients are mostly Medicaid patients. Probably 95% are Medicaid patients. We have a team of physicians, case managers, therapists, peer recovery coaches, and then administrative staff. So that is primarily the structure that is needed to support people in their recovery. In our the 99th district, having 200 patients is an indicator of how widespread this issue is. I mean, to be honest, there could be multiple facilities just in Jefferson County alone. You know, I couldn't begin to tell you. It would be thousands. It is thousands of people across the state that are probably in treatment, and thousands more that aren't even in treatment.
And what I was looking is, so what can the legislature do to address that? Is it a funding issue? Is it a recruiting issue? Is it a licensing issue?
Licensing is pretty straightforward through the DHHR and a process called OFLAC and the federal program called SAMHSA, Substance Abuse Mental Health Association, or ACT. It is because of funding through Medicaid, it's difficult to get paid. It's a long process, so we need more access to dollars for through Medicaid. There is also a recruiting process that is difficult to be certified, and that could be streamlined. We also have a barrier with hiring individuals because they can, in private practice, make a lot more money than they can in serving Medicaid patients.
It sounds like a very complicated issue.
It is.
Thank you. So,
Steve, can I respond real quick to
Yes.
your question?
Absolutely.
So, as many of you all know, Megan's Law, which was my pet project last session, which deals with self-harm and eating disorders with our kids. There's one eating disorder clinic in the state of West Virginia, and that is at CMAC Hospital in Charleston, and that is run through WVU Medicine. The other difficulty that we have in regards to our mental health is that we do not have enough therapists in our state. In fact, all of the therapists that we had to use were in Virginia, and we had to drive Megan every day to therapy. We could not do it over the phone because of our regulations on teletherapy that we have to address.
Maria Lawrenson.
Good morning, and thank you both for being here. So Delegate Clerk, I'll start with you. You mentioned the premise of educational choice and being a member of the Education Committee. We know on the Senate side that things are shifting a little bit in the world of education in West Virginia, if you will. Senator Blair has talked about moving to look more at public schools. So you're talking about education choice. What's your feel for public school, for teachers' raises throughout the state? If you want to tie in locality pay, however you want to
Well, I
address
gladly
that.
supported the teacher pay raise.
Okay.
Okay, so, and to understand, yes, we have a huge issue, and I hope to stay on education and maintain my position that is on education because it's so important to us. It's so important to me. But we have to increase our rating. We're one of the lowest in the state, in the country, in regards to our education. I co-sponsored several bills that address those last year, but they did not get through the finish line. They will be introduced, one of them, which I was really excited to co-sponsor, was Roger Hanshaw's aid bill, which gave a aid in each classroom through kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. That helped to obviously help improve reading scores, math scores. Also was one of the co-sponsors on the proficiency bill, which is if they're not at a proficiency level by third grade, they repeat third grade. Now, we know last year, if that was the case, we would have had 68% of our third graders repeat third grade. So at the same time that we need to continue to work on school choice, we also have to work on improving our education system.
So how do you do that at a time when teachers are leaving the profession like left and right? And I heard the former Berkeley County School Superintendent say that there were something like a half dozen or a dozen people who graduated from WVU this year with an education degree. How do we attract more quality teachers?
So that is when I was at the Southern Legislative Conference, I loved what Tennessee did, and Tennessee has an interim program. And this is an interim program that is built on the federal interim program. So once the kids get out of high school and they recognize that they want to go into education, they can start going into the classroom right away, doing student teaching and working on their degree during the kind of off time. And with this program, they're actually getting they're in the classroom at a much earlier age. We are paying the interim program is paying for them to go to college and paying for their salaries while they're going through the interim program, which is absolutely great for the state because we don't have that expense. But now they're getting that hey, I'm bought into the system within the state of West Virginia, and they're going to stay. So that's our biggest problem is, locality pay. We all know that anybody in the Eastern Panhandle is not for locality pay. Please let me know. I'll have a conversation with them off-site.
The question is how we get it passed.
That's the biggest question. We tried to get locality pay passed last year in a pilot program for our state troopers.
Right.
And we got crushed on the floor. The Eastern Panhandle got crushed on the floor, and we had to go and just approve all the way across. Mm-hmm. Our thought process was if we can get this through on this pilot, we could show throughout the rest of the state that we need to really look into locality pay. I can tell you that everybody in the Eastern Panhandle that's in Charleston is going to fight for locality pay till we're all voted out. Trust me.
Okay, good enough. So, Ms. Cornwell, in Jefferson County, there's always been sort of a teacher brain drain, if you will, to Loudoun County, which is very close, very easy. You step over the border, you make 10, 20, however many $1,000s more. What would your solution to that be to at least keep quality educators in Jefferson County?
Yes, that's true. You can skip over to Loudoun County and make another $20,000. You can drive 12 miles to Berryville and make another $10,000. I think teachers are looking for additional money, but they also want secure benefits. I think that's very key. The PEIA is the funding is a little insecure at the moment. Locality pay, locality pay, locality pay. Border counties suffer the brain drain tremendously. It's not just in the Eastern Panhandle, it's the Northern Panhandle. Counties that go up against Ohio, that's really the key.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the amendments now. The ones that are getting the most traction are 2 and 4. You see signs throughout the region. Vote against. don't see too many that say vote for 2 and 4, but you have one in your car? Okay, all right. Well, why don't you talk about that, Delegate Clark? Is that not an issue of local control? I mean, that's what you hear on the anti-side, that we're turning it over to the legislature and letting the legislature make all decisions for us.
Yes, I've heard the same thing. Okay. All right. The one thing we have to understand, if Amendment 2 does not pass, we can't do anything. We can't make changes to the personal income tax on equipment and machinery. We can't change the tax on vehicles. In fact, the governor's plan, there was no change to the tax on the vehicles. He was going to give it back to you in a rebate because he can't change it. It's constitutionally bound that we have to charge those two taxes. So Amendment 2 gives us the opportunity to look at what we can do. There are several plans that are out there. There are plans from doing a backload. You know, I think if you look at the numbers, Berkeley County was due after, you know, with the Senate's plan to get not only all of their money back, but an additional $3 million on an annual basis over the next 5 years. And Jefferson County was to get all their money back, the $8.4 million plus an additional $1 million over the next 5 years. So those are several of the plans. I mean, I've heard people say, well, what if we only attack the vehicle tax and we reduce that $254 million? How will we then get that money back? I've heard things about tax swaps, which is changing the state sales tax to 7% across the board. Municipalities already have 7%. 6% goes to the state, 1% stays at the municipality. So then we give all the counties home rule option to do the same thing. So everybody pays 7%, 1% stays at the municipality, 1% stays at the county, the 6% stays at the state. Can that backfill it? There are so many different options. Amendment 2 gives us that ability to look at it and make changes if we have to. We might not even do anything.
So why is the governor so vehemently opposed to Amendment 2? Why is he taking his show on the road? Any ideas? You might not be in Governor Justice's head, but
without being in Governor Justice's head, I think the main thing is he wants the personal income tax reduction.
Okay.
And he wants the plan that he introduced to us back in 2021, which was a huge tax swap, and that's why the House of Delegates voted 0 for and 100 against. If we want to look at just the personal income tax reduction, I like Chairman Householder's plan of the phasing out of the personal income tax, taking care of 10% now, putting money aside from the surplus, and then as that money reaches a certain threshold, buy it down again, and then continue on that process. It kind of protects us for anything, downfall.
Okay. So, Ms. Cornwell, I'm thinking you talked about local control in your opening remarks. Some people are saying that very much so that these two amendments do exactly the opposite. Again, just what I read, what I hear. Tell me what your thoughts are on that. Do 2 and 4 take away local control? What's your thought about that?
Amendment 2 is a no for me. It does take away local control. That $8.4 million is collected by the county for personal property as well as the inventory tax. There's no reason to take that away, give it to the state, and let them backfill to the county. If that's going to happen, why take it away to begin with? The Amendment number 4 is also a no for me. That is control of the Board of Education through the legislature. Right now, the governor appoints the Board of Education, and it acts as a quasi-independent board that runs the education. If the new law, new amendment passes, that gives the legislature control. The legislature would, I can't believe the legislature has time to do this. They would have to approve, reject, or amend any act, policy, procedure, proposal that the Board of Education puts forth. So both of those are a no for me.
And we have to get around to wrapping up here, folks. So what I'd like to do, so that all candidates have a chance to answer this, give me a yes or no answer as I go through the 4 amendments as to how you will vote on Election Day. Wayne Clark, Amendment 1.
Yes.
Amendment 2.
Yes.
Amendment 3.
Yes.
Amendment 4.
Yes.
Deborah Cornwell, Amendment 1.
No.
Amendment 2.
No.
Amendment 3.
Yes.
Amendment 4.
No.
Okay, thank you both very much. I appreciate the speed round there, cooperation from you both. I'm going to give you both a minute to close, and Deborah, since you opened first, I'll give Wayne the opportunity to close first. Wayne?
Well, again, thank you, WRNR, for putting on this event. I look forward to hearing everybody over the next 2 days. Excited to be the leadoff man in this operation, but I do want to talk in my closing a little bit about the Amendment 4. We already review all of the rules for every other agency within the state. We have our rules chairman, Jeff Foster, is phenomenal at getting things done. So this is nothing that's going to overburden the state legislator. This is going to make sure that all of our laws are being placed in and run correctly. So again, vote for every single one of these amendments, and I hope that you all know that if you want to send someone down to Charleston that's going to go down there and is going to work hard, it's going to get things done, that's going to show up on a daily basis. I had a 100% voting record in 2021. I would have had a 100% voting record in 2022, but many of you all know I had a very significant situation with my family that took me away from the legislature for a period of, I think it was 15 days. Other than that, I've not missed a vote, and I don't plan on missing another vote for any time that I'm down in Charleston. So thank you, and I humbly ask for your vote on November 8th.
Delegate Wayne Clark. Deborah Cornwell.
Thank you, everyone, for participating today and inviting me. I appreciate it, the opportunity. There's no reason to think that I wouldn't participate fully in the state legislature, and I love to hear from the constituents. There's no secret that I'd like to move the pendulum closer to the middle, and I would work hard to cooperate and listen to the people of the 99th, no matter what their political affiliation or ideology is. And thank you. I humbly ask for your vote.
Thank you both for showing up this morning and participating in our forum. We wish you the best of luck on Election Day.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more in 3 minutes.
Hello?
We're here again 3 times in the past 2 days.
You're where?
Bechtel Jewelers. Look.
Can Mom hear you?
No, she's in a diamond coma. Get her the pendant, or I will.
Hey, that's my credit card.
What? Can't hear you, Dad. You're breaking up.
It's going to take more than a crying baby to wake her out of this diamond coma. You're going to need a mega dose of jewelry from Bechtel Jewelers.
Why are young people leaving West Virginia? Unfortunately, too many of our young people see more opportunities out of the state than they see here in the state. We have to have young people if we're going to have a future. Good paying jobs, recreational facilities, arts, theater. Most young people are looking for more than just a paycheck. They're looking for something that they can grow within their chosen profession. Every time I vote in the Senate, I think, is it good for West Virginia, and will it help keep our young people here in the state?
Paid for by the committee to elect Hannah Geffert, Gary Geffert, Treasurer.
Hi, this is Lauren from Orsini's right here in Martinsburg. Grilling is not just for the boys. We are a Platinum Traeger dealer carrying the Pro Series all the way up to the Timberline Series. We have every flavor of wood pellets along with accessories, rubs, sauces. Not just Traeger, we carry Utz, Meat Church, Lanes, and Dizzy Pig. We also carry a full line of Yeti products. Orsini's has everything to complete your backyard. Visit us at 360 Hack Wilson Way or at Orsini's.com.
Do you have someone in a nursing home, or are you worried about somebody you love going into a nursing home? The law firm of Daniel Staggers can protect your assets. Call the law firm of Daniel Staggers today at 304-267-3915. The Daniel Staggers Law Firm does elder care law, estate planning, and special needs trusts for disabled children and family members. Visit the Daniel Staggers Law Firm for your initial free consultation at 133 East John Street in Martinsburg. The Daniel Staggers Law Firm, when you need asset protection for you or for a family member. If you or someone you know suffers from the disease of addiction, help is available from the Berkeley County Quick Response Team with peer recovery coaches and support promptly to the homes of those who've recently experienced an overdose. This collective effort towards recovery brings resources and services to the community, including naloxone and treatment options. Call 304-267-1313 or visit the Berkeley County Recovery Resource Center, 400 West Stevens Street, Martinsburg. The Berkeley County Quick Response Team is funded through a DHHR grant with the Berkeley-Morgan County Health Department.
Hi, I'm Susan Benzinger, candidate for the new District 100 in the West Virginia House of Delegates. I support high-speed internet for every house, school, and business, clean water to drink, for agriculture, for tourism, public education, including locality pay for teachers and staff. If you send me to Charleston, I will represent all of us in District 100. I ask you for your vote on November 8th, paid for by Susan Benzinger for delegate, Raymond B. Benzinger, treasurer.
And we are about to meet the candidates for the newly created 100th Delegate District. Susan Benzinger, Democrat, Bill Ridenour, Republican. Our panel is ready. We'll give each of you an opening statement here. And Bill, I'll begin with you first. You have a minute or so to please introduce yourself to the voters.
I'm Bill Ridenour. I served our country for over 41 years as a Marine and Defense Intelligence Officer. I believe our rights are God-given and not derived from any government. As delegate, I'll defend our constitutional rights, particularly the First and Second Amendments, champion free enterprise, and promote economic development for small businesses and jobs to create a thriving economy, ensure our overall infrastructure, including broadband internet for homes and businesses, is improved, increase our energy independence to ensure we can power our homes and businesses in the looming crises in the Biden economy, support our law enforcement and keep criminals and illegal drugs out of our state, stand against illegal immigration and drugs flowing across our border that's killing our people, hold our state and local school boards accountable to education rather than political indoctrination, expand school choice for families, including homeschooling and charter schools, and improve our public education system, eliminate any sexualization of our kids, oppose any draconian mandates that will harm our people, work to maintain West Virginia's independence from federal government overreach, attack corruption in state and local governments, and work for term limits for professional politicians, reduce the size of government, and spend and tax far less than Democrats. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Susan Benzinger, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me today. I think that running for the House of Delegates and being a delegate is all about community and bringing our community's voice to Charleston. My background, I'm a pension tax attorney by trade. I have worked for several large accounting firms, for an international human resource consulting firm. I've worked for the United States government and also in family business. So my background in business is very broad. I am very concerned, and I have spoken with many people about this, I'm very concerned that we should have high-speed internet for every single house, school, and business in our district and in our county. I'm also very concerned about our teachers and to get them locality pay. And I'm very concerned about our clean water for agriculture, for tourism, for business, and for drinking. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Our panel will ask you each questions. If one of you invokes the other's name in a response, you're welcome to respond immediately to that once that person has finished their thought. And I think, Maria, you ended up doing 2 rounds of questions in the last one, so I'm actually going to start with Steve again here in the first one.
All right, well, I'll go back. Let's start with Mr. Ridenour. So you laid out quite an ambitious set of objectives. Can you talk about how some of those, such as immigration, drug control, are important here in Jefferson County and the Eastern Panhandle, and what specific legislation you would introduce to address those issues?
Well, I think that we see issues, if you're talking about illegal immigration, what we see is individuals coming over from various states or being transported into the state that are bringing a lot of criminal activity. A lot of drugs are flowing through the border and coming to the state of West Virginia, specifically fentanyl, which is killing a large number of our people. I have many constituents in the district who have lost family members to fentanyl. The vast majority of that is coming across the southern border. So our southern border is in fact a problem not only for the border states but also for our own state, and it's something that we need to work on. I believe that we should be redefining human trafficking as bringing any individual into the state that is an illegal immigrant. That is in fact human trafficking by bringing what the Biden regime has been doing in terms of transporting illegal immigrants from one area from the border to our area or to other areas in the country.
Right, but what I'm looking at, as a state legislature, what legislation would you be championing?
I would redefine human trafficking as a crime in the West Virginia Code. It's not defined to include illegal immigrants. It's mainly focused on sexual predators, and I wholeheartedly support defining sexual predators as a human trafficking issue. But I think we should open that up to illegal immigrants as well, because and any transport of those individuals into the state of West Virginia.
Okay. So, Ms. Benziger, what would be your specific priorities for legislation covering some of the issues that you talked about, and why are they important here in Jefferson County?
Okay, first of all, high-speed internet. The legislature has already passed 4 bills, funding bills mainly, for high-speed internet, and yet we still don't have it. So we need to have better legislation, I think, that requires certain things be met before we just hand out money, so that we get high-speed internet for everyone. It's critically important. The second thing I would do is support funding for the DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection, to help us with water contamination. We have old factories that are long gone that no one remembers, but they left their chemicals behind. We need the DEP to come and help us out with that. The third thing I would support is locality pay for teachers. And I think if we got together with the Northern Panhandle and other border states, we should be able to make a compelling argument to everyone else in Charleston that we need locality pay, because teachers are the basic element of our school system. Without them, we cannot have an education for our children.
Thank you.
Maria.
So I will go to Ms. Benziger first then. So you may have heard in the prior candidates talk about the locality pay piece and how difficult it was in the House to get any traction for that. And I would point out that it's not just teachers, that we've got state troopers and all kinds of other folks that need that. So what would you do specifically to get these folks from the Northern Panhandle, the western counties, to sort of get on your team, so to speak?
I think it just gets down to meeting with people, meeting everyone on the same level and saying, look, we all have the same problem. We all need to make sure that our teachers, and you're right, our school staff, our state employees, our troopers, all of those people need to be paid in order for West Virginia to be the wonderful place we all want it to be. And I think it just gets down to that. We just have to go and put together a coalition of all these areas.
Well, one of the things that I've heard the argument that certainly the state teachers unions believe that everybody deserves a certain amount. So if you're a teacher in Marlinton or if you're a teacher in Charlestown, with the same credentialing, you deserve that same amount of money. So you've got other groups at work besides the legislators, so to speak.
Well, I think there's 2 things that we can push for. One is to bring everybody's pay up. We need an across-the-board raise for everyone. And then in the border counties, in places like Jefferson County, in the Northern Panhandle, because of our location, we need additional pay on top of that. I don't want to leave anyone behind. Mm-hmm. All of our state employees, school staff, and teachers should be paid, for sure.
Thank you. So, Mr. Ridenhour, what about you? Do you think that locality pay or an across-the-board pay raise for state employees, for teachers, for troopers, what are your thoughts on that?
We've already heard from other delegates in previous sessions and in my discussions with other delegates that an across-the-board raise isn't going to work. The other delegates will not support it. The state senators will not support it because in many cases what they've told our delegation, the Eastern Panhandle delegation, is that their teachers are the second highest or third highest paid profession in their county.
They
can't justify that to their constituents. So what we need is some type of cost of living allowance or differential pay allowance for our area, which recognizes the much higher cost of living in our area. I believe that we can, in fact, try to bring other border counties, as Ms. Benzinger has said, and I agree, and basically everybody in the Eastern Panhandle and most of the Northern Panhandle delegations agree that we need to have that type of differential pay or locality pay. And I believe that is, in fact, for both, not only for our teachers, but also our state workers, because they are often underappreciated, and we need to get more of those. We don't have enough in our area, and that's one of the issues we have with our infrastructure, but also with our law enforcement entities. We do not pay our law enforcement enough. We have 25 state police positions within Jefferson County, and we actually only have 7 state police officers, and we only have 7 because we got a new recruit back in April. So we are very, very understaffed in our law enforcement side, and we do have a surging crime problem coming from Northern Virginia, from Maryland, and we've got to take care of that. So we do need to be making sure that we're paying not only our teachers, but all of our other workers in this area to do that. I want to work with other delegates around the state to try and get them to understand that we are, in fact, the tax base. We and Berkeley, Morgan, the Eastern Panhandle is the tax base for most of the state. And we can actually do a better job of that if we can keep our folks here, if we have a better, secure, and better business environment within the Eastern Panhandle. We can actually generate more tax revenue, and that will benefit the entire state.
Thank you.
Steve Pearson, back to you.
Okay. So I wanted to follow up on what you were saying, Mr. Ridenhour, because we've been talking about the tax base, and there's been a lot of discussion about restructuring the tax system, and with the amendments, reducing some of the local tax base. But a lot of what both of you have been talking about in terms of locality pay, I mean, that's expensive. So how do you balance that? I mean, how do you pay for these pay increases and merit increases and cost of living increases and locality pays in a way that's acceptable to the entire state?
Well, I think that you have to increase the economy in our Eastern Panhandle area and throughout the state, and that's one of the reasons that I'm a supporter of Amendment 2, because I think if we do have the authority within the state legislature to reduce or eliminate our business inventory taxes, we will significantly increase the business climate in the state overall, not just in the Eastern Panhandle, and that we will actually gain about as many taxes as we lose, but by increasing the number of jobs in businesses in the state will actually increase our economy overall. So I don't think we're going to end up with a significant reduction, particularly for our business inventory taxes, in how many taxes we're actually bringing in. If you look at, I have a master's degree in economics. One of the things that we've learned from various tax cuts throughout history, particularly after the Second World War, the Reagan tax cuts, the Trump tax cuts, each of those resulted in actual increase in tax revenue. It's generally the case, particularly if you're targeting those on either personal taxes or on business taxes. Those end up having a much greater return on investment, and that really is an investment, is cutting those taxes.
Ms. Bendinger, so the governor's been touring the state, and one of the things he said about Amendment 2 is that he hasn't seen a lot of these new businesses who are interested. The property tax, personal property taxes haven't really been a deal for them. But when people are looking to locate their businesses here, do you think it's just, is it all about the taxes, or are there other things like things that you talked about, like education and water? I mean, how do we get these businesses to come to West Virginia?
Okay, I do not think that the business personal property taxes are making any difference. I've done some research on that. States that have gotten rid of it haven't seen a big change. I think the way we get business in West Virginia is pointing out to out-of-state businesses to get them to come here is that we are in a perfect location. We have the people to be their workers. We have wonderful places for them to live. Jefferson County, we have parks, we have rivers, we have historic sites, the things employers look for their employees, for their off time. We also have a lot of natural resources, so I think there's a number of things that we can do through the Development Authority and other functions to bring those businesses here, and I don't actually think that that tax is going to make an effect one way or the other.
And can you talk about the investment in education and the environment? Because I think those are two things that you talked about.
Right.
Historically, I mean, West Virginia ranks low on those. Do you see that's an impediment? And what can the legislature do to reduce those impediments to businesses coming to the state?
Right. Well, I think it's also very regional. The Eastern Panhandle, our schools are doing better than schools in other parts of the state. So from just a very selfish perspective of District 100 and being here, something we offer to employers is our education system. We do need to work on internet to convince the businesses to come. They're not going to come if they can't have access to high-speed internet. They're just not. So we need to work on that. We can work with those businesses. We can also point out to them, if you manufacture something here or in Berkeley, actually, you can get right on 81 and get your products out to market. So all of those things make us a very attractive place to come. We do have issues, but we're working on them.
Thank you.
Maria, back to you.
So I would ask, first, Mr. Ridenour, one of the things that Ms. Benzinger just talked about was, making things attractive to business. The tax system, is it attractive to business, what have you. One of the things that has been done to attract some of the major businesses at least in Berkeley County, and I'm not for sure about Rockwool, but I know P&G, certainly the newly opened kitty litter place, is something called pilot programs, payment in lieu of taxes. So, you bring a business in, and one of those nice little incentives is we want you to come, so we're going to excuse your taxes for a certain amount of time, which, school systems are generally kind of quiet about that, but they are not reaping the benefits for those larger businesses to get those taxes, because that was part of the agreement to get these folks here. What do you think about that? Mr. Ridenour first.
I'm not a fan of the pilot programs. I think that those, in fact, punish the people that are already here and the businesses that are already here.
I would argue small businesses really take it. What do I get?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, small businesses, medium-sized businesses are actually suffering because of those, because we actually tax them more in order to pay for bigger businesses to come into the state. If we got rid of or vastly reduced our business inventory taxes, that would make those pilot programs less necessary in order to attract those types of businesses. We'd increase the business environment, the attraction for businesses to come into our area, into the state writ large. And that's another reason that, like I said, that I want to see us reduce or eliminate that business inventory tax, as well as the personal property machinery tax as well, because both of those taxes impact businesses that are not only here, but any businesses that would want to come here. And then we have to go through that pilot program. And that then provides the opportunity for what we all do not want to see in government, which is corruption. We see corrupt practices when we start engaging in those types of pilot programs, backroom deals, things like that. That's something I want to make sure we don't have. We don't want West Virginia to have any kind of a reputation along those lines. We want to be as absolutely a clean and positive economic environment for businesses to come into as we can possibly make it.
Ms. Benzinger?
Well, this is one of the times Bill and I agree, but for different reasons, perhaps. For different reasons, I think. I do not support the pilot programs either. Because you're right, when they come in, they're not paying taxes, and the rest of us have to make up for that. The other problem is, I understand historically, that when those agreements run out, those businesses often leave. So we really didn't get the benefit, a long-term benefit from them being here. So I would be against having more of those. Now back to that business tax, though. Again, if we take that away, if the legislature gets rid of that, Where's that money going to come from? Is it going to blow a big hole in Jefferson County's budget? It's going to affect our schools. It's going to affect sheriff's department, policing. Where's that money going to come from? The legislature doesn't really give us if this, then this is what we're going to do. So we're going to just have to figure out how to do that. And unfortunately, that means if the legislature doesn't quickly do something, but they do take those taxes away, we're going to have to cut services, or we're going to have to raise the sales tax or the real estate tax, which would be devastating to our seniors who are on fixed income and to our veterans and disabled veterans who are also on fixed income.
Before we go to closing statements, let's go through the amendments, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you give us an opportunity to let everybody know how you feel about each of those. And Bill, I'll start with you. How would you vote on Amendment 1?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I had your mic down. Amendment 1.
Yes.
Amendment 2.
Yes.
Amendment 3.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Amendment 4. Susan, Amendment 1.
No.
2.
No.
3.
No.
4.
No.
Now we'll go to closing statements. Bill, we began with you on the opening, so we'll close with you on the opening. So Susan, you open up with the closing statement.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again for inviting me today. As I said, I believe that being a delegate is about representing your community. I've been a part of our community for a long time. I have been active in the community. I am on the commission, the Jefferson County Parks and Recreation Commission. I'm on the board of directors of the Jefferson Day Report Center. I'm on the foundation board of Blue Ridge Community and Technical College. I co-sponsor a I'm sorry, how could I forget this? Scholarship. How could I forget? A scholarship there with my husband. I'm a member of the Harpers Ferry Women's Club. I'm a member of St. Andrew's Community Center and a member of St. Peter's Lutheran Church. I ask for your vote on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Bill Ridenhour.
I was a problem solver throughout my years of government service. I was hand-selected many times to solve many of the nation's most important national security issues. I want to tackle the issues that face West Virginia now because this is my home. I have years of experience working on executive responses to legislation. I've crafted and reviewed thousands of pages of testimony, reports, and input for Congress and senior levels of the executive branch of the U.S. government. I know both the executive and legislative processes and have watched our imperious judiciary with serious concern amid its constant efforts to legislate from the bench. My opponent is a Biden Democrat. I'm a Reagan Republican. She'll follow Biden into the abyss. I will help lead us back to reality. I will ensure our state government works for the people, not the other way around. As a patriot, a Marine, and a citizen of this great state, my pledge is that I will never waver in defending and advancing your best interests as delegate. Thank you, and God bless West Virginia and America.
Bill Ridenhour and Susan Benzinger, thank you both very much for being here today, and best of luck to you both in the upcoming election.
Thank you.
Thank you.
More to come right after these.
With 4 new car dealerships and 4 used car dealerships in 3 states, Parsons is the largest used car and fastest growing new car dealer in the tri-state area. Take Parsons Ford with huge savings on hundreds of new Fords, financing from 0%, Parsons' goal of financing for all, and Parsons' famous above-market trade-in allowances that help make Parsons #1 for used cars too. See why so many won't buy anywhere but Parsons Ford in Martinsburg. We became #1 by making you #1 first. Parsons.
This is Michael Hornby. I hope to represent the people of Berkeley County in the 93rd District of the West Virginia State House of Delegates. I am a proud father, husband, and small business owner. I believe government exists to serve the people, and we need to keep it accountable to the people. The best process to promote prosperity is within a free market economy. The best education is one that represents what is best for the student, and not centered on an ever-expanding bureaucracy that only supports itself. I immigrated to this wonderful country legally because I believe in what the USA represents. I'm a strong advocate of the Second Amendment and don't think anyone has the right to infringe on these rights. I believe in the right to life, traditional family values, and that a good quality of life is important to all people. As this beautiful county continues to grow and thrive, I believe my diverse and unique experiences throughout my life will help me make the right choice to guide us towards the future and do what truly is best for our county. Vote Michael Hornby, your Republican candidate for the 93rd District. Paid for by friends of Mike Hornby.
Panhandle Printing and Design is your full-service local print shop. With over 50 years of combined experience, we know how to handle all of your printing and design needs.
We can handle anything, from small business cards to wrapping large vehicles. Our in-house design team can do it all. As a staple of this community, we love helping people promote their events, businesses, and anything they're passionate about. Envision, create, and bring your ideas to life with Panhandle Printing and Design.
Since 1991, the Eastern Panhandle Business Association has been the premier advocate for small business at the state capitol in Charleston. Over the years, our support for key economic reforms and the candidates to make that happen has been successful. As a result of our efforts, every West Virginian is better off. In the upcoming election, we endorse the following candidates. For State Senate, Charles Trump in the 15th, Jason Barrett in the 16th. For House of Delegates, Don Forst in the 91st, Mike Height in the 92nd, Mike Hornby in the 93rd, Larry Kump in the 94th, Chuck Horst in the 95th, Eric Householder in the 96th, John Hardy in the 97th, Paul Espinosa in the 98th, Wayne Clark in the 99th, and Bill Ridnour in the 100th. Please join us in supporting these great candidates this Election Day on November 8th. Also, vote yes for all 4 amendments, paid for by the EPBA PAC.
Hi, this is your delegate John Hardy, running for the re-election in the 97th District. I am a lifelong resident of the Eastern Panhandle and a small business owner. I bring a blue-collar background and a common-sense perspective to state government. I've chosen the Eastern Panhandle to live, build my business, and raise my family. As a delegate, I have continually worked to cut government, return taxpayers' money, and fight the liberal left agenda. I have an A+ rating with the NRA. I need your support to continue to fight for school choice and parents' rights in education. Vote John Hardy May 10th.
Paid for by committee to elect John Hardy.
If you're in an accident, the first thing that you have to do is call 911. You have to get medical care immediately.
The next thing you need to do is call us. When you hire us at the Skinner Law Firm, what we do is we are going to investigate your case and we're going to lay out the options that you have, all at no cost to you.
We will use all of our resources and all of our experience to get you what you deserve.
The Skinner Law Firm, SkinnerFirm.com.
Our next candidate is Jackie Shadle for Jefferson County Clerk. Her opponent could not make it today, but Jackie is here. We wanted to give her an opportunity to express her thoughts on the race for the clerk in Jefferson County. So, Jackie, take a moment, introduce yourself to our audience, and let them know about your past, your qualifications, and why you would like to, why you're running for this office.
Okay. Good morning, and I'd like to thank WRNR for inviting me to this forum. As you know, my name is Jackie Shadle, and I am running for re-election as your Jefferson County Clerk. I want to be clear that I do not consider myself to be a politician. I am a 27-year resident of Jefferson County who has raised 4 amazing children in this community, and I am first and foremost a public servant. I will always put the public first. Since being elected in 2016, I have worked hard to bring impeccable customer service, efficiency, and most importantly, transparency to the Jefferson County Clerk's office. Serving the community these past 6 years as your clerk has been very rewarding, and I am asking you to vote for me on November 8th so that I can continue to serve the public as the clerk of Jefferson County.
Thank you, Jackie. We'll start with Steve Pearson.
Okay, good morning.
Good
Thanks
morning.
for coming.
Thank
so,
you.
You've had, oops, I'll give you a minute to. So, I was going to ask you what have been some of the most significant challenges during your time in office other than your microphone falling off the stand. So.
I would have to say the most challenging aspect over the past 6 years is dealing with the COVID pandemic. Our office did stay open the whole time. My employees were working the whole time. Running the elections during the pandemic was a challenge, but we forged through and we were very successful. I couldn't have done it without my employees and the community.
And what did you learn as part of managing that operations? Because I think you alluded to, it's 2 operations. It's the clerk operations and all this paperwork, and then the elections, which is very up and down, and I've seen some of the issues you've had with staffing, back and forth. How do you balance that? How do you manage this workload?
Teamwork. And I have a wonderful team. We also work with other elected officials and agencies within the county to help run the election and make it be successful. I don't know if I...
No, that's fine.
Okay.
And when you talk about the teamwork, obviously one of the issues that's been discussed at the county commission recently is the finance director position. Do you have any thoughts on how the county should manage, the commission should manage its finances, whether that should be more a function that goes back into your office, or is there ways that you would recommend
I am
a
constitutional conservative, and I want to follow the West Virginia Constitution and state code, and I've attended state auditor training for the past 6 years, and I know what I'm supposed to do. Anything that's been taken from my office, let's cross-train, If the finance director is not able to do the reports that my office is supposed to do, I'd like someone in my office or myself to know how to step in and take care of the reports. So it's just working more together.
And you have the staffing in your office to do that?
I don't have staffing that has accounting background. So that would have to be addressed.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Talk a little bit about some of the things that your office does, because I think a lot of people get confused. There's the circuit clerk and the county clerk, and the role of the county clerk, even in Jefferson County, is very different than it is in Berkeley County. There are some little subsets. I have a little bit of knowledge about that, but talk a little bit about the volume of the workload, and then you made a little reference to staffing. Do you need more staff, and how does that all work?
Since I became clerk in 2016, I have not increased my staffing or decreased my staffing. But thank you for the question, because when I door knock and I ask people to vote for me as county clerk, I ask them, do you know what my job entails? And a lot of them say no. They may have one aspect, but not all aspects of it. They often confuse me with the circuit clerk. I have nothing to do with the court system. One of the main functions is I am the chief election official for the county. I am the county's record keeper, and we do vital statistics, birth, marriage, death certificates. We also probate estates. So if there's a death in the family and there's assets, they need to be probated. We also handle the finances for the county. We do payroll and accounts payable. We also provide administrative support to the Civil Service Commission. So it's a very multifaceted job and a very interesting one. I've had the opportunity, the office works very closely with the state auditor's office and with the Secretary of State's office. Is there anything else?
No, I'm good.
Well, you talked about the state auditor's office, and they just rolled out a new, it's the government checkbook. Could you describe how
West Virginia Checkbook, or Project Mountaineer. It's a transparency portal, and I worked with Commissioner Jackson and the state auditor to bring Project Mountaineer to Jefferson County. It's been live for about a month. I'm glad you brought that up, because we are offering training for the community this Thursday from 6 to 8 in the commission meeting room, which is below the Charlestown library. And there is a link, if you cannot come in person, that you could watch the training online. It is a portal that is hooked right up to our finance system. and it's live, so it's updated daily. For those of you that want to see how our money is spent in the county, it's very interesting, and it is on the county website, it's on the county clerk's website and Facebook page.
Jackie, if you would, talk about the challenges with the redistricting to 100 delegate districts and with the census, the redrawing of lines, and how that affected Jefferson County and your approach to it. There were obviously some issues around the state with that and the cooperation from the Secretary of State's office. Your experience in Jefferson County?
Redistricting brought challenges, yes. It affected about 10,000 of the registered voters in Jefferson County, and we have about 40,000. So basically we had to inform all those voters of their new precincts and their new voting place. That's the biggest challenge, is to get the word out.
Could anything have been done to, let's say you had this job 10 years from now, was there anything different that you would do or approaches in advance you would take with the Secretary of State's office to make it work even more efficiently?
Well, I don't think the issue was the Secretary of State's office. I think the issue was COVID, and things were put off nationally with the census, and then it just trickled down to our office. But we managed it, as we always do, and I'm very proud of the work I've done these past 6 years, and I'm very proud of my employees.
Any final questions for Jackie Shadle?
Well, you read a lot about, concerns about elections, processes, integrity around the country. Do you have any concerns here in Jefferson County?
I absolutely do not have any concerns. If anybody has concerns, I ask them to please call my office and we will talk to you.
The Secretary of State's office has made, especially since Mac Warner has been in office, a push towards removing names from the voter rolls, which for whatever reason no longer are active. They may have passed away or moved or what have you. Can you discuss some of those challenges and what are the parameters for actually removing a name from the list?
That's an ongoing process, and we just do not take people off the rolls. There are guidelines that we follow, and the Secretary of State's office does help with some of those guidelines and helping us out. We have people, we glean the newspaper for any deaths in the area. So our records are good, and I'm very happy to work with Mac Warner as Secretary of State. He's been wonderful.
What are some of the parameters for removing a name from the voter rolls?
Voters, if they have been inactive for several general elections, they have to. We have to mail a postcard. If we get that postcard back, and as a non-receiver, the only way we can actually remove someone from the voter rolls is if we get something in writing from somebody saying that we have moved, or if somebody has died, or if they have moved.
Steve, anything final?
No.
Maria?
So some years back, West Virginia enacted a piece where you need to show some sort of ID when you go to vote. With the change of all of the delegate districts, did you have any issues getting out the new voters registration cards, and do you think that that's an issue for anybody? Could somebody pull out the wrong district and vote in the wrong place, or are you fairly confident that you're in good shape?
I'm fairly confident.
Okay.
And the poll workers at each precinct can say to the voter, I'm sorry, this is not your precinct, and they will give them a ticket and show them where their precinct is. They'll have the address, and then they can either make the choice to go to that precinct and vote, or they can vote a provisional ballot.
Jackie, take a minute to wrap things up and let the voters of Jefferson County know why they should vote for you.
Thank you. I'd like to again thank WRNR once again for inviting me here today. Election Day is November 8th, and Early voting begins tomorrow, October 26th. I am asking you to vote to re-elect me, Jackie Shadle, so that I can continue to bring the highest standards of customer service, professionalism, and transparency to the Jefferson County Clerk's office. I believe that my experience and dedication show that I am the best choice, and I would be honored to receive your vote so that I can continue to work for you as your clerk. If you have any questions before Election Day, I can be reached by email at jackieshadleforclerk@gmail.com, or you can message me on my Facebook page, which is Jackie Shadle for County Clerk. Once again, thank you for your time, and I would be honored to receive your vote and support on November 8th.
Jackie, thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
And best of luck in the upcoming election.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
We'll be back with more in 6 minutes.
Come out and support the Martinsburg High School football team, cheerleaders, velocity dance team, and marching band Thursday, October 27th from 5 until 8 p.m. at Coburn Field at David M. Walker Stadium for the Martinsburg Bulldog Bash. There'll be door prizes and giveaways during the event, as well as performances by the Bulldog Band, MHS cheerleaders, and the velocity dance team. Can't make it to the event? That's okay, because we'll have live coverage on TV10 and WRNR TV on YouTube. For more information, contact Randy Brown at 304-616-0605.
Ever try to collect on an insurance claim? Perhaps a homeowner's claim, auto accident, or fire? Insurance companies collect money from you for protection should something bad happen. And when it does, they don't want to pay, or they offer too little. At Mansion Ferretti, we have an attorney who worked defending insurance companies and knows all the dirty tricks they play to deny or lowball your claim. Call us today for help in getting what you really deserve. Mansion Ferretti, when you need justice.
Come out and support the Martinsburg High School football team, cheerleaders, velocity dance team, and marching band Thursday, October 27th from 5 until 8 p.m. at Coburn Field at David M. Walker Stadium for the Martinsburg Bulldog Bash. There'll be door prizes and giveaways during the event, as well as performances by the Bulldog Band, MHS cheerleaders, and the velocity dance team. Can't make it to the event? That's okay, because we'll have live coverage on TV10 and WRNR TV on YouTube. For more information, contact Randy Brown at 304-616-0605.
Since 1991, the Eastern Panhandle Business Association has been the premier advocate for small business at the state capitol in Charleston. Over the years, our support for key economic reforms and the candidates to make that happen has been successful. As a result of our efforts, every West Virginian is better off. In the upcoming election, we endorse the following candidates. For State Senate, Charles Trump in the 15th, Jason Barrett in the 16th. For House of Delegates, Don Forst in the 91st, Mike Height in the 92nd, Mike Hornby in the 93rd, Larry Kump in the 94th, Chuck Horst in the 95th, Eric Householder in the 96th, John Hardy in the 97th, Paul Espinosa in the 98th, Wayne Clark in the 99th, and Bill Ridnour in the 100th. Please join us in supporting these great candidates this Election Day on November 8th. Also, vote yes for all 4 amendments, paid for by the EPBA PAC.
Providing reliable protection since 1877, we are Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies. From small beginnings and over a century later, we maintain our dedication to our policyholders to provide dependable insurance protection and excellent customer service. Protecting everything from your home to your business has never been easier. Our team is here to ensure that you, your family, and your assets are taken care of. We enjoy giving back and doing our part to keep Martinsburg a great place to be.
At the Berkeley County Health Department, our motto is Prevent, Promote, Protect. Since 1935, our mission has been to provide clinical and environmental services to protect the health of the general public. We're committed to building public health in our community by offering a wide range of services, including blood pressure screening, breast and cervical screening, family planning, counseling, lab testing, and more. We perform health inspections to make sure the restaurants you visit are clean, and we prepare and coordinate plans to respond to all hazards. The Berkeley County Health Department, 122 Waverly Court, Martinsburg.
I'm a small business owner. I work a lot. My wife can tell you. My kids can tell you. I work many hours. I work hard. And I do that when I'm in Charleston. I show up. I work. In the 99th District, do you want to vote on the person that shows up? Or you want to vote on someone who doesn't show up? I'm going to show up and I'm going to work. So I hope that you come out and you vote for me.
Paid for by Clark for WV.
The Larry DeMarco team at Modern Realty Results believes buying a new home requires a dedicated team that cares about your needs and concerns. Our experienced team is from the area, and we care about this community because it is our home as well. Whether it's a $30,000 home or a $3 million home, we will be hands-on and invested throughout the entire process. Thinking of buying or selling in West Virginia? We've got the tri-state area covered.
Hi, this is Caleb Wilkerson with Boats and Soaps Cleaning Services, a fully mobile, veteran-owned and operated business. We provide commercial and residential cleaning services, mobile auto detailing, as well as vacancy cleanout services serving within 60 miles of the Martinsburg, West Virginia area. Call us Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. at 304-268-9198. Again, that's 304-268-9198. Or check us out on Facebook, Boats and Soaps Cleaning Services.
The Honda Civic and the Accord are uniquely stylish in their own way. But you know what they have in common? Reliability and comfort? Sure. Available turbocharged engines? Of course. But also, the driver, having fun for no reason, except for the thrill of driving a Honda. America's most loved auto brand.
CMA's Honda of Winchester, 3985 Valley Pike. CMA, moving lives forward.
2021 American Customer Satisfaction Index ACSI survey of customers rating the performance of their own automobiles.
Come out and support the Martinsburg High School football team, cheerleaders, velocity dance team, and marching band Thursday, October 27th from 5 until 8 p.m. at Coburn Field at David M. Walker Stadium for the Martinsburg Bulldog Bash. There'll be door prizes and giveaways during the event, as well as performances by the Bulldog Band, MHS cheerleaders, and the velocity dance team. Can't make it to the event? That's okay, because we'll have live coverage on TV10 and WRNR TV on YouTube. For more information, contact Randy Brown at 304-616-0605.
In this segment, we will meet 3 of the 5 people running for county commission in Jefferson County. And in this group, we have Dale Manuel, Claire Ath, and David Tabb. Each of you will get a minute for an opening statement. We'll also have another minute for a closing statement as well. In between, our panelists, Steve Pearson and Maria Lawrence, will be asking you questions. If your name is invoked by any of the other candidates, you have the opportunity, once they complete their thought, to rebut or respond in some way if you feel like your name was not represented properly in terms of your thoughts, beliefs, or publications that you've put out. At the end, you'll have a minute or so to close before we wrap up our segment with you folks. We appreciate you all being here. Thank you very much, and best of luck to you over the next half an hour or so here. With first opening statement, we'll begin with Dale Manuel. Dale, thank you so much for being here today.
I'd like to thank WRNR for allowing us to come today and talk with the public, let them know where we stand on the issues. I'm Dale Manuel. I'm running for the Charlestown district, and I have a long history in Jefferson County. I was an elementary teacher in the county for more than 30 years, right there in Wright Denny in Charlestown, and really enjoyed it. Now I'm a retired teacher. I spent 16 years being elected to the legislature. They put their faith in me, and I worked hard for them. I worked on environmental issues. I worked on funding issues, the Local Powers Act. I worked on all of these issues to try to get money for our schools and to make Jefferson County a better place to live. Then I was in the County Commission for 2 terms. There I worked on all kinds of different issues, including putting together the budgets and so forth. But I am most proud of advocating and working for $1 million for parks in Jefferson County. Some of those monies were used to purchase Height Road and to make improvements throughout the county of Jefferson. The one major issue that I'm running on now is to make the county commission more user-friendly. I think it needs to be more open. It needs to be more receptive of the people and their opportunity to speak to the county commission and to feel comfortable doing so.
Thank you, Dale. Claire Ath.
Again, I just wanted to thank WRNR and TV10 for hosting us today. My name is Claire Ann Ath, and I'm the current County Commissioner representing the Charlestown District. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have 2 little boys, and I also am working part-time on my PhD in family policy, and I hope to teach once I complete that. A bit about me. During my undergraduate studies, I was chairwoman of my school's Young Americans for Freedom chapter, otherwise known as YAF. I interned for YAF as well as U.S. Senator Ted Cruz. After graduation, I worked for National Review, which is our nation's very first conservative publication. When I was there, I worked alongside members of the Trump White House, in addition to leaders like Tucker Carlson and J.D. Vance, to help plan events with our writers for college students and for public policy professionals across the country. So during my campaign, I've outlined 4 main priorities that I have. Being a mom, my first is that we invest in families. I don't think that families should have to go the county or the state over to do the things that they enjoy. And that's why I've supported things like expanding the AMP at Sam Michaels Park. And I also worked with our state senator, Patricia Rucker, to get a matching grant with the state so that we can look at what it will take to build a year-round county swimming complex in Jefferson County. As the granddaughter to too many generations of Irish farmers to count, I tried with my granddad last Christmas. We gave up. I really believe we need to stand with our farmers and support farmland preservation as well as property rights. I also believe we need to support small business and reduce their barriers to entry. And above all, I promise not to burden taxpayers. I think we're experiencing unprecedented levels of inflation, and that's the last thing I want to do. So again, my name is Claire, and I'm excited to be here with you all today.
Thank you, Claire. David Tapp. And David, move into your microphone a little bit more, if you don't mind.
Thank you for having me here today. I appreciate the opportunity to let the community know what is facing us today. Again, I am a resident, lifelong taxpayer, business owner that has strived for the last 14 years to challenge our government, both county and state. They don't listen. They don't listen to the people. They don't listen to me. I have challenged them to the point that they actually have, the Jefferson County Commission has sanctions against me that I can't even go into the courthouse without having an attorney. My constitutional rights have been taken away. Bring me in as the county commissioner, and I'll see that everyone else's constitutional rights are not violated, such as mine. My main objective, first and foremost, right now, is the security and safety of our county. The current county commission has done a hostile takeover of our volunteer fire companies. The county commission for years has failed to fund the volunteer fire companies as they're required by law. I've challenged that numerous times in the Supreme Court and also the U.S. Supreme Court. I am not an attorney, nor do I want to be one. But the government is taking our rights away. We need to stand up. We need to be heard. And if you want the county commission and the government to continue the way it's going right now, you got 2 other candidates sitting right here that you can vote for. If you really want to see a change and accountability, which I will stand up for, then vote for me, and I'm going to still need the community's participation. 5 people should not have the right to make lifelong decisions for the community. The community belongs to the people, not to 5 people. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you, David. Steve Pearson, we begin with you.
Okay, well, that's we've got quite a range of opinions here before us, which is what you often see on the county commission as well. So I'll start off with a sort of structural question. So, and we'll start with Ms. Ath, because she's the incumbent. What, if any, changes would you make to how the commission conducts its business? Not what it decides, but how it actually operates.
Yeah, in terms of how we conduct our business, I would like to see more evening meetings. I think that a lot of people in the community want to attend our meetings, and you have jobs, you have families. It's not that practical to do during the day. I know I often have to stage our meetings during nap time and find babysitters, and I think if we had evening meetings, we would allow for a lot more community input and community participation. We do have the capability to come in online, and we are going to be improving that, which I'm looking forward to. I know we get a lot of complaints about the audio. We don't have something as fancy as we have here today. But I think that if we were able to expand to more evening meetings, that would get more public participation.
As a quick follow-up, is there anything you can do outside of the meetings as a county commission beyond just the twice monthly meetings for citizen engagement?
Yeah, I think there's always room for improvement. If office hours with commissioners, I think, could be a great thing to institute. I'm always open to public input on how we can improve.
Okay. Mr. Manuel, could you give us some thoughts on how you change?
Absolutely. So take off on one of the things that you said almost immediately. When I was on the county commission, we would go into rural areas. For example, we went to Harper's Ferry one time, and we would go to these different rural areas and hold a meeting. And then the people would have the opportunity to come to that meeting. We have it at a firehouse or whatever. So that's one of the things I would do. Another thing I would do is, if you noticed, like in municipal government, an issue comes before the body more than one time before it's voted on. I would advocate that issues need ordinances, and very, very important issues that come before the county commission should come up for more than one reading before they're voted on. Come up the first time, you alert the people that it's there. The second time, it's at an amendment stage. The third time, it's voted on and becomes an ordinance or is put into the budget or whatever. So it gives the public more opportunity to be involved in local government. And the other thing that I would really work for, and did when I was on the county commission, is the public hearing. We need to have as many public hearings on issues to let the people speak and have their voices heard. We have people who have expertise all over the spectrum in Jefferson County. And we need to hear from them on the issues that impact our community.
So I would take it you would not be in favor of the practice of calling a special meeting with 3 days' notice to incorporate a public hearing and a vote at the same time?
I absolutely would not.
Okay. Mr. Tabb, what would you do to change the way the county commission operates?
Well, first off, you just mentioned something that I've been fighting for a long time, is special meetings. I've actually challenged that in the court systems. Here you have emergency meetings that are not emergencies. They have special agendas, and they don't want the public to be involved. At the special meetings, they don't have public comments. Even though they don't have public comments, I send in written comments on their issues. And sometimes they get published and put into the record for the courthouse, and sometimes they don't. I've had to fight this county commission on ethics issues of dealing with that. There's a broad range of issues. Another one is that they've cut the public comments from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. In the 14 years that I've been going to the county commission meetings, we used to have it every week. Now it happens twice a month. For a short period of time, every fifth Thursday, they added another meeting. That's gone. The county commission has strategically cut off the public participation and their opinions to the point that it's unconstitutional. They don't listen. They don't address the issues that people bring up. They go into executive sessions Executive sessions should only be reserved for employee issues. They go into lengthy executive sessions every commission meeting, and especially when they have special meetings. This is an atrocity. It should not be allowed to be done, but it's being done for years. So when I say that I'm going to make a change, the whole structure needs to be changed. And here you have a county commission meeting in a rented facility, $20,000 a year, when we have thousands of square feet of office space and structure that the county owns and doesn't have to pay for. Yet we're paying $20,000 a year and just purchased a $68,000 media system to put in there from a place in Florida that just to come here and put it in, we're paying an additional $6,000. My question to the county commission was, so if you have a service call and you got to work on this thing, does that mean we have to pay for someone to fly up here and work on it? The county commission is in really bad shape. And as far as public hearings and that type of stuff, they don't listen. And if it's going to change, just like this fire company issue, if it's going to change how things are going to operate that have operated for over 180 years, then the public should have a say, not just 5 people. Thank you.
Maria.
So, Mr. Tabb, you brought up what appears to be the hot button issue of the county commission election, you know, the reorganization of EMS. So, talk to us a little bit about your feelings for the potential reorganization of EMS in Jefferson County.
The EMS is controlled by the county commission. Public has had no say in the EMS. They have produced staffing for the volunteer fire companies when the volunteers are basically not available. Our career firefighters that actually have established the 7 volunteer fire companies are independently owned and operated under 501c4s. They are licensed. They are insured. And the commission pays very little to them, which is required by law to have emergency services. So when you're only giving them anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000 per station, when most of their budgets are over $1 million, these fire companies are really struggling to stay in operations. This hostile takeover on the ambulance deal is all about a $11 million ARPA money, American Rescue Plan, that they can only use the money if something's new. So they've been working on this for 1.5 years on a fit study that the first 2 sentences say that the volunteer system, the way it is right now, is the best it can be. If you do anything to lower it or to change it, it's going to be in trouble. So we had 15 ambulances in operation. Now we're down to around 9. The county has purchased 7 or 8, with the maximum amount of ambulances going to be in service is 7 or 8. And when the money runs out for the ambulance service, which is the only funding mechanism basically the fire companies have, in 2 years that money is going to run out, and our taxes will actually have to double, because to have paid fire and ambulance service, it's going to cost more than what our current budget is.
Thank you. Ms. Ath, your feelings about the reorganization of EMS.
Yes.
And Claire, if I could, there have been several things Mr. Tabb has said about the county commission. As you are a member of it, you have the ability, of course, during your time to respond to any of the things that Mr. Tabb brought up.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I'll say is that I am the lone person. I do support the county restructuring EMS. This is an issue that has existed long before my time, and it's something that will exist into the future. Residents in Jefferson County deserve quality emergency services, and we're experiencing unparalleled growth. And with that growth is going to come growing pains. Our volunteers, they're people who have other obligations, families. Many, if not all of them, have other jobs. And we need to make sure that we have enough paid staff to support our firefighters. And that's why I think we need to look at how do we increase our paid staffing. And what we've seen is that the revenue from the ambulance billing is a way to increase paid staff. So as Mr. Tabb had mentioned, we will be having 6 ambulances during the day, 5 at night. We've hired 12 additional EMS workers. And this is something that is a work in progress. And I know there's been lots of discussion about transparency and openness, but I often view myself as a friendly and amenable person. I'm always willing to talk to someone and hear what they think on an issue and see how we can come to a solution. That's what I do in my academic studies. That's what I do as a mom. And I want what's best for Jefferson County. And there are some tough situations that we're facing, but I just want the public and everyone to know that I truly am coming from a point of concern and compassion, and that I want to make something that works, and this is what we're looking to do with restructuring EMS.
So before I get to Mr. Manuel, should the county own all the ambulances then, and why?
I believe that the county should own the ambulances because up until this point we've been providing the staffing, and by owning the ambulances we're taking the burden off the volunteer houses, that they no longer have to pay for the equipment inside the ambulance, for the maintenance, any of those routine kind of things. So with us taking over the costs and providing paid staffing, it's a logical conclusion that we also would accept the revenue from the billing.
Thank you. Mr. Manuel?
I totally disagree with the way this was handled. To start with, all those fire chiefs, all those EMS folks, and the public should have been drawn into the study that was done. They should have done a more comprehensive study. It should have had the people who provide the service, we should have had them as the strongest voice on what direction to go. That didn't happen. Then, as things progressed, the county commission decided they would hire a public relations firm to tell the people what their opinion was. I think they backed off that. The issue here is the ambulance side of the firehouse was funding the fire side. That's where the money comes in. You're billing the insurance companies and so forth and collecting the dollars. The county commission is now moving in the direction of doing what? Collecting the dollars. So that revenue source is going for our volunteer fire departments. It's going to really, really hurt them. And yes, the county commission did, and I hope continues to provide monies to the fire companies to run their life-saving procedures in Jefferson County. I only hope that John Doyle and I, when elected, hopefully, will be able to draw this back and start over again and get everyone involved and to come up with some comprehensive way to meet this crisis.
Thank you.
Steve, back to you.
Well, let's follow up a little bit on the fiscal impact of this. So Mr. Tabb mentioned that this was funded in part by ARPA funds, and there was about $5 million that were appropriated. About half of that went to purchase the 10 ambulances, and the other half, 2.5, to fund the next couple of years of operation. So for until the next fiscal year and a half, we're talking about $2 to $2.5 million. So when that money runs out, how does the county continue to pay for this service? And especially in the context of potential recessions or reorganization of the local property taxes that the state legislature is talking about. So let's start with Ms. Ath, because you're probably most familiar with the numbers, I hope.
Yeah. So what I would say to that is you're exactly right. We have been very fortunate with the ARPA funds that we were able to make the purchases of ambulances and equipment. But moving forward, we have looked at the financials, and ambulance billing is going to be able to cover a large portion, if not all, of the service. But that is also where I want to talk about my position that I believe we need to attract business to the county. So taxes don't just come from individuals. And I think it's wrong to burden everyday families to owe more and more money to the government. But when businesses come in, they're able to pay a higher percentage of tax, and that can help offset our costs.
Mr. Manuel.
Well, again, not listening to the fire chiefs. When the ambulance amount came before the county commission, the fire chiefs asked for a specific amount, and it was a lot more than the $39. I debated it. I put up motion after motion at the appropriate amounts that were necessary, and I was beaten down. I think you've asked the $25,000 question. What happens when those monies run out that they're utilizing now to purchase the ambulances and to prop up the service? So something's going to happen. And I'm not sure what direction the county will go, but there's going to have to be something or some revenue source to work with to make sure that the safety of the individuals in Jefferson County is the highest priority.
Okay. Mr. Tabb, I know you've looked at the numbers, so maybe you can shed some light on how we're going to pay for this.
All right. So Mr. Manuel was talking about the ambulance fee. The ambulance fee is 7 years old. He was involved in it. It was too little, too late, and didn't go to the right place. So, 7 years ago, how many ambulances did the county or county commission have? 0. But they're collecting $1.4 to $1.8 million a year on an ambulance fee and don't own an ambulance. So the real question is, where'd the money go? It went into general funds. It should have gone to the fire companies. So you're looking at over $10 million in 7 years that could have gone to the fire companies. And what most people don't know is that the federal government has done mandates on all fire companies that you have to be trained completely as if you were a paid fireman to be a volunteer. You cannot get on a piece of equipment without being properly trained. So there's been a question, oh, if we had paid ambulance people, we're going to get better service. No, they're equal. The only problem is it takes between $10,000 and $15,000 to take a volunteer to come into a company, and has to go through training and has to be certified. But nobody's helping pay that. The county commission just the other day on FY22 finished their budget. They had $58 million of transfer. Now, the state auditor came in 4 months ago and said to the county commission, before they did that open gov structure, you're under budgeting the county finances by 40 to 50% is at an end. This county commission and previous, I've calculated in the last 6 years, have taken almost $100 million and not notified our taxpayers that they have it. But yet everything that they do, it's got to be budget neutral. The departments didn't even know this. This is an atrocity. It needs to stop. The fire companies have been basically taken out of the loop to be funded the way it's supposed to, and the county commission and basically the whole government is trying to shut down all volunteer systems so that they can be paid, so that they can get 40% of that revenue back for the government.
Dale, you had your hand up?
Well, basically, at the outset from the ambulance fee, the monies were designated to go to the salaries of the individuals that were running the individual runs, and also their training and other equipment that they would need, that type of thing. It was earmarked. It would not go into the general fund. Now, you would be able to know if they've changed that.
I would agree with Mr. Manuel. I don't believe Mr. Tabb is accurate. The money from the ambulance fee doesn't disappear into a general fund. It's used for paid staffing for JCESA. So, as Mr. Manuel.
I think you need to know the facts, and I want to make sure that you get them. And that's the way it was. In fact, those amendments were put into effect by Jane Taya when we debated the ambulance. I disagreed really strongly with the amount they came up with, but not with the use of the funds.
Mr. Tabb?
If I'm not correct, then why was there a problem with keeping the things the way they were? What was broke so bad that through EMS providing paid people to run the ambulances when the volunteers were not available? So if that is true, then it would be budget neutral. So why does the EMS have a budget of over $4 million when they only collected between $1.4 and $1.8 million? So if they would have taken that money and actually assisted the volunteer fire companies, we wouldn't be in this shape right now. In March of this year, March of this year, the county commission had a special meeting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I notified all the chiefs. 62 volunteer firemen and 23 units showed up at the meeting that really wasn't publicized. It was secret. And the chiefs and myself and a whole lot of other people were at that public hearing, and the county commission left in executive session and came back and said, oh, we're not voting on it. But the very next day ordered people to start looking at purchasing and buying and put this stuff together. And the county commission still does not have a department or an agency that they can actually run this. And I notified the emergency medical services, which licenses the ambulances, and put a stop to them actually trying to run these ambulances without proper licensing and structure, and actually put a hold on it. And that's why until March of next year, even though they still don't have a department, they cannot do what they want to do. And what they've actually done is actually illegal, and they're being held accountable for it. Thank you.
Claire, do you agree with that representation of your counsel?
I would disagree. I wish I had my email on me right now. We actually just got an email last Friday from Director Berner saying that we did get approvals on licensing and that it was a really big step forward. So I can't remember the exact logistics of it, but he had said that if we needed to run an ambulance, like worst case scenario, we could as of last Friday. So things are moving, and I would just say that's one of the things, and I've heard the word hostile takeover many times. I don't know why everything has to be so hostile. I think that everyone wants the same thing, and if we can just all get together and work together, I think things would go a lot better.
Steve, if you had any follow-ups from that, if not, we'll go to Maria.
I was going to suggest we maybe change to a different topic. So
Which is fine.
I'll turn it back to Maria.
Thank you. If we even have time to finish through this topic, which is probably doesn't have the hot button that the last one did, but so Jefferson County is one of the few counties in West Virginia with a land use, zoning, and impact fee ordinance. Do you think these policies have benefited the county? Start with Mr. Manuel.
Absolutely benefited the county. I can remember when we didn't have it, and I can remember the pig farm coming in right in the middle of a neighborhood. I can remember the tire pile in the middle of a neighborhood. All these kinds of things were happening. Destroyed your value of your home. We were looking at a comprehensive plan that has to be revisited very soon. And I want to say we need to make sure that the people are involved in the development of that comprehensive plan. Every step of it, all the way to the end when the ink dries on the document. And we definitely need to hold on to our zoning in Jefferson County.
Thank you. Ms. Ath?
Yes, so I would echo what Mr. Manuel had said about the importance of having community participation when we're working on our comprehensive plan. I do believe that there is an importance in zoning, but at the same time, we also need to respect the property rights of our farmers. I know it's been very controversial this past year whether solar farms should be allowed in the county, how we do that. I think that we do that through what has happened. I think that we need to have meetings. We need conditional use permit is what we had approved, and for people to come together and say, you know, what they think is best. But at the same time, we need to take into account the farmer and what his perspective is. And in this day and age, I know my own family, you may not have the next generation to come up and farm. So if a farmer does feel that he needs to diversify his operations, that he needs to bring in a new way, and you spoke of impact fees, that solar farms are able to come in, they're able to maintain the land as it is, they're not building any new big structures, housing, the impact is relatively small. And at the same time, we're able to see tax dollars that can go towards our emergency services and other things within the county.
Thank you. And Mr. Tabb?
Well, if y'all have been paying attention, the 2035 comprehensive plan has been attacked and has been changing to accommodate a solar issue. The biggest thing I got a problem with the solar issue is where's the power gap? We're going to be with our view vista will change. As far as impact fees, I remember just a few years ago you were talking about anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 on impact fees to better the community. Now we're down to less than $5,000. They took the school money out of the structure for the impact fees and gave the realtors a discount. I tried to bring it to the county commission's attention that that's fine. If they have a big pot full of money and they haven't been using it, then take it away. The fire companies used to get impact fee. Now they get nothing. The sheriff's department used to get a chunk of it. Now they get like $10,000 a month. The fire companies could have been getting almost $100,000 a month if they would have just transferred what the schools were getting over to the fire companies. The problem is again, this mandate from the federal government that every 15 years you have to get a brand new fire truck. It's unfunded. The gear that they used, even if they've never used it in 10 years, it has to be thrown away. There is no funding mechanism for the volunteer fire companies, and that's why they're in such terrible shape. The training, the requirements, the equipment. Everybody forgets about this impact fee and the structure that it was supposed to go towards. And it has been, and I'll say it again, It's been a hostile takeover for years. They have planned to fail the volunteer fire companies so they can make it completely paid, so that the government gets a percentage, up to 40% of those revenues, and stick it back in their pocket. The volunteer system in our whole country is under attack. It's unacceptable. Thank you.
And Claire, you had your hand up to respond quickly.
Yeah, I just want to comment on Mr. Tabb's comment on the impact fees, and wanted to say that I myself thought that that could be a solution to take revenues from that to give to the firehouses. But when I did speak with our legal counsel about that, they had said at this time it wouldn't be possible because the impact fee is supposed to go into a capital outlay fund to buy new equipment, and since we don't own the firehouses, we don't own their equipment, at this time it isn't something that would be possible. And I just want to make it known that I do want to fund the volunteer fire, and that it isn't this dichotomy that, oh, you love paid staff, you hate volunteer, hate paid. Everyone wants to work together on this. So I just want to make that known.
Thank you, Claire. And we will now move to our closing statements, which I would ask that you each keep to about a minute or so. We will begin in the middle with Claire.
Okay. So once again, thank you for hosting. I've really enjoyed myself this morning. It's been a tremendous honor serving as county commissioner for about the past year and a half. As a stay-at-home mom, I decided to apply for this position because I wanted to help my community, the community that my two sons are growing up in. I'm not in it for a paycheck or for status or anything like that, and I can promise you I would much rather be at home with my two kids. But after the pandemic, I saw firsthand just how important our local governments are when it comes to things like shutdowns, mask mandates, and CRT in our schools. I had to get involved for my son's sake, and I'm glad that I did. But when all is said and done, I do know that my time on the commission is temporary. My campaign promise is this. This is going to be my only campaign ever. For decades, we see the same names on the ballot every election cycle, and I think that that needs to change. I strongly believe in term limits and having true citizen representation, not career politicians and candidates. Once my time is complete as a commissioner, I will not seek re-election or any other elected position. I'll return to life as a private citizen, a stay-at-home mom, and hopefully a professor. I have faith in our constitutional republic, and I can only hope that if the people of Jefferson County will put their faith in me to serve as their commissioner, that I can serve to the best of my ability and then step aside so another citizen from our great county can take my place afterwards. Again, my name is Claire Ann Ath, and I humbly ask for your vote this November.
Thank you very much. David Tabb.
I've been working on this my whole life to make our community better. Why? Because my parents taught me to. It's a foundation within the farming community that my family has been doing since 1636 in the tidewaters of Crystal City. And this is as far west as we moved. We've been here since the late 1600s, still doing the same thing, taking care of the land, taking care of the community. The infrastructure is built from my family and our friends in the community. It is faltering. It's all falling apart. Here you've got a county commission that's going to change and try to fix something that wasn't broke. It's broke now. They don't even have any place to house their ambulances. The EMS building that they tried 10 years or 15 years ago failed. They had ambulances, they had their own structure. It completely failed. This will fail again. You have the people and the expertise already in place that will do it for free and gladly do it for free and for generations. And they're being shoved aside with no respect, no consideration, never brought to the table. They claim that they did, and they didn't. You can go to any of the firehouses, and it is horrible. Our response times are going up, our safety is going down. Just the wrong person hasn't died yet. And this is my testimony that I will do everything possible, even to the point I've even bought my own fire truck. Why? Because if this carries through and this, I don't have the opportunity to become a county commissioner, you're going to need your own equipment. So I would appreciate everyone's vote. This is our safety. You may call 911 and there will be no one to respond. Please vote for David Tabb, and I'll secure our volunteer fire companies and the safety of the county. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Dale.
I would like to again thank WRNR for having this forum. I just want to say that I've spent a great deal of my time committed to Jefferson County. I hold many positions. I'm the president of the Day Report, working against the opioid epidemic. I'm a member of the Kiwanis, working with children, providing funding for them. I was an elementary educator in Jefferson County for more than 30 years. And I feel that our community needs all the commitment that we can get, not just from the elected officials when they're sitting at the county commission desk, but when they're on Parks and Rec, like I have been for years, working with those individuals there to provide more and more opportunities for recreation in Jefferson County. So I would ask for your vote on November the 8th and also at early voting. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all three of you for being here today. We appreciate your time and wish you the best of luck on Election Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more right after these.
If you have a child or baby on board in your vehicle, WV Medicine Children's at Berkeley Medical Center will be hosting a free child passenger safety seat check event Sunday, September 25th, 1 to 5 p.m. at the WV Medicine Berkeley Medical Center campus behind the Dorothy McCormick Center, 2000 Foundation Way in Martinsburg. Stop by and make sure your precious passengers are safe and secure on the road. Certified car seat technicians will be present to inspect car seats and make sure they are properly installed.
When you're looking for the perfect gift, look no further than L.A. Roberts Jewelers at 146 North Queen Street in downtown Martinsburg. Choose from a huge selection of unique items, from the finest diamonds that make your eyes sparkle to exquisite timepieces, figurines, and collectibles. Buying from L.A. Roberts Jewelers means that you've made the decision to do business with people who've excelled in the industry for more than 100 years. They'll be here tomorrow when you need them, and if you need your jewelry or your watch repaired, they'll do that too. L.A. Roberts in downtown Martinsburg. Old World Jewelers for a new age.
I'm Steve Catlett, candidate for Berkeley County Council. I served 44 years as Executive Director for our Public Parks and Recreation System. I'm a fiscal conservative that knows how to run a tight budget. We need responsible growth and the infrastructure to support it. I support and respect our law enforcement, fire and rescue services, our schools and parks. For honest, proven, effective leadership, vote Steve Catlett for Berkeley County Council. I thank you for your support.
Paid for by Catlett for County Council Committee.
Panhandle Printing and Design is your full-service local print shop.
With over 50 years of combined experience, we know how to handle all of your printing and design needs.
We can handle anything, from small business cards to wrapping large vehicles. Our in-house design team can do it all. As a staple of this community, we love helping people promote their events, businesses, and anything they're passionate about. Envision, create, and bring your ideas to life with Panhandle Printing and Design.
My kids, you know I want the best for you, don't you? We need to have a conversation.
End-of-life planning is no one's favorite discussion, but the relief of having everything in place when the hour of need arrives is a gift. Give it to your family. Plan ahead with us.
Brown Funeral Homes, a leading provider of cremations, invites you to explore the many flexible options of cremation. From environmental considerations to the benefit of greatly reduced cost, it may be the perfect answer for your family. Online at brownfuneralhomeswv.com. Brown Funeral Homes, here for you.
Hello, this is Mark Sutton of the Sutton & Janelle Law Firm. The right attorney can make all the difference in your case. That's why you should call Sutton & Janelle. We have been serving clients in West Virginia and Maryland since 1999 in the areas of family law, DUI, criminal defense, and personal injury. Sutton & Janelle works hard to obtain a favorable outcome for you at a reasonable rate with affordable payment options. Sutton & Janelle values your rights and is passionate about your success. Contact us today at suttonandjanelle.com.
I'm a small business owner. I work a lot. My wife can tell you. My kids can tell you. I work many hours. I work hard. And I do that when I'm in Charleston. I show up. I work. In the 99th District, do you want to vote on the person that shows up? Or you want to vote on someone who doesn't show up? I'm going to show up and I'm going to work. So I hope that you come out and you vote for me.
Paid for by Clerk for WV. The Palace Lounge in Martinsburg is the place to be this football season. Join us Fridays for Martinsburg Bulldog games, Saturdays for Shepherd Rams and WVU games, and every Monday, Thursday, and Sunday nights for the NFL primetime games. We still have steak night every Wednesday, shrimp nights every Thursday, and now taco and margarita nights every Tuesday. So come on in and enjoy the Palace Lounge. We're located at 1350 Edwin Miller Boulevard in Martinsburg.
With 4 new car dealerships and 4 used car dealerships in 3 states, Parsons is the largest used car and fastest growing new car dealer in the tri-state area. Take Parsons Ford with huge savings on hundreds of new Fords, financing from 0%, Parsons' goal of financing for all, and Parsons' famous above-market trade-in allowances that help make Parsons #1 for used cars too. See why so many won't buy anywhere but Parsons Ford in Martinsburg. We became #1 by making you #1 first. Parsons.
Think you are too busy to earn your degree? Think again. Shepherd University is now offering online degree programs. You can earn a master's degree online in curriculum and instruction or a master's of business administration. And registered nurses can complete their BSN online too. Learn how to take the next step in your career at shepherd.edu/online. That's shepherd.edu/online.
Hi, this is Lauren from Orsini's right here in Martinsburg. Grilling is not just for the boys. We are a Platinum Traeger dealer carrying the Pro Series all the way up to the Timberline Series. We have every flavor of wood pellets along with accessories, rubs, sauces. Not just Traeger, we carry Utz, Meat Church, Lanes, and Dizzy Pig. We also carry a full line of Yeti products. Orsini's has everything to complete your backyard. Visit us at 360 Hack Wilson Way or at Orsinis.com.
Join the Berkeley County Republican Club for the annual Eisenhower and Veterans Day dinner at the Holiday Inn on Friday, November 11 at 5 p.m. For just $50, you get dinner and 6 free Chinese auction tickets. There'll be items from Richard Petty, Dale Jason and Ned Jarrett, Ted Nugent, the Dukes of Hazzard's Ben Jones, and many others as well. There'll be valuable door prizes too, and only 200 tickets will be sold. So get yours today by calling Lisa White at 240-464-1608 or go to berkeleycountygop.com.
We will now meet our candidates for Circuit Clerk, Tina Renner and Laura Storm. Each of you will get a minute to introduce yourselves. It's not a strict minute. You can go over. It's okay. And also a minute or so to wrap things up toward the end. In between, our members of the panel will be asking you questions. And if either of you brings up the name of the other person in your response, they'll have the opportunity to directly reply as a courtesy to that person. So we'll begin first with Laura Storm. You'll have the first minute to begin. Introduce yourselves to the voters. Laura?
Hi. Good morning. Thank you so much to WRNR for hosting this. And I apologize, I've been fighting a sinus infection. My voice will go in and out a little bit. I will do my best. I do want to start with our office. The West Virginia Constitution establishes a hierarchy of administrative controls for the judicial system. The circuit clerk's office, I'm an officer within the judicial system, and the control is established by Article 8, Section 3 of the West Virginia Constitution. And the clerk is subject to the control of the circuit court. The circuit clerk is the custodian of all records held within the courts. One of the most important duties of a circuit clerk is that they must follow all directions given in all court orders, filed either by the judges or the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals. As a record keeper and fee officer, the clerk's duties are ministerial. That means they're prescribed by statute, order, rule, or directive. It is absolute and certain. There is no discretion. The clerk has no discretion as to the performance of these duties. They could face legal consequences if they do not follow through this. In my office, I have brought up-to-date technology. I have made it more efficient, streamlined duties. I have actually cut my staff by one through attrition because of electronic filing in the court system. I will continue to work doing whatever I can to continue with the attrition and lowering the number of staff in my office as we become more efficient in the court system.
Thank you, Laura. Now Tina Renner.
Thank you all for hosting this forum. I am Tina Renner, and I am running for Circuit Clerk of Jefferson County. I'm a proud American, and I'm a 30-year resident of Jefferson County. I've been a small business owner in Ransom, West Virginia for 8 years, also while working for Jefferson County Public Schools as a bus operator. After fighting for my political beliefs in 2021, I decided to get involved in local government to help others to make sure that their voices were heard as well. I'm not a politician. I'm just a longtime Jefferson County resident who wants to help her community. My strong faith, dedication, attention to detail, focus on customer service, and my common sense thinking, combined with 35 years of administrative and business experience, makes me the right choice to be Jefferson County Circuit Clerk. I would be honored if you would all vote for me on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. And now, Steve.
Okay, well, thank you all for coming and trying to explain what Circuit Clerk is to us. So, Ms. Storm, since you're the incumbent, you mentioned some accomplishments. So can you sort of amplify or expand on some of what you've been in the clerk's office for even before you became the chief clerk, so maybe you could talk a little bit about that and then talk about what you see coming up in the future. What are the challenges ahead?
Absolutely. I have been in the circuit clerk's office for 21 years. My first 7 years was as a deputy clerk, and when Patsy Nolan retired, I stepped up and was appointed by all the circuit judges in the circuit to take her place, and then 2 years later I had to run in the election. This is now my third election. So I've been the circuit clerk for 14 years. From the beginning, I have tried to bring technology and streamline processes. In the beginning, my office went green. I wasn't mailing out invoices, copy bills to anybody. It was done by email. I was the first clerk in the state to accept credit cards in my office. The office of the clerk, there should be no politics involved in the office. I treat everybody the same. With that, I've had to work with many different entities, people, departments. Doesn't matter what their politics are, we work together. The sheriff's office, the clerk's office, the Supreme Court. We work very diligently to continue to find more technology. And then in 2015, we got the electronic filing in our office. We were the second office in the state to have this. The clerk from Marion County was the first one. She and I went down to Alabama to see the new court system that we were looking to purchase. So we had this program created to make it more efficient for our courts, our judges, and our clerk's office. And with that, it did become more efficient. Now, nobody is ever paperless, but we are as paperless as can be when my judges can be traveling around the state, the world, and still processing orders in the court, looking at their case files to do whatever they need to do within that. And my job is to help keep that organized and up to date. I also have a jury program that it's the state's program in that they upload our information in there for our jury selection. What I was able to do was to back on that with a company that we have a jury call program now. And I kid around and call it the Don't Call Us, We'll Call You program. You don't have to call the jury line every night. I mean, that's big for jurors. Everybody forgets. So we have an automated system that either through a robocall or a text message, you are alerted 3 times before you are to appear in circuit court. Our attendance rate now is around 99%. It keeps the court system moving. When you don't have enough jurors, you can't go forward with a jury trial, and that slows down the movement within the court system. So I'm very proud of that fact. My jurors, I ask them at every jury trial how they feel about that, and they absolutely love it, the fact that they do not have to call in any longer. And right now we're working on a lot of the older records. The paperwork is so fragile. It literally can fall apart in your hands. We're trying to get all of this organized to get it digitized so it'll be easily accessible to the public by my public terminal. And when the Supreme Court decides to allow the public access online from their home, and that won't be done until all of electronic filing has been done in all counties in the state. When we get to that point and you can have a subscription to it, you would be able to access that from your home to see what the history is in Jefferson County court system.
Well, thank you. So, Ms. Renner, you mentioned that you had some small business owner experience and administrative experience. Can you be more specific about what specific experience and capabilities you bring to this job?
As in every job that I have worked in my 35 years of working experience, you have to run everything like a business. You have to explore funding. You have to branch out. Customer service is my biggest point. The people, what their concerns are has to be what your biggest concerns are. You have to get them the product, you have to get them the knowledge, you have to get them what they need in order to continue with their daily lives. I've learned this. I've been a waitress, I've been a bus driver, I've worked in offices for multi-million-dollar companies, and I have to say dedication, loyalty, transparency is one of the key factors to being a great employee and to having great employees.
So I'm trying to drill down into your experience, though. I mean, in your small business, how many people do you employ? How many people do you manage?
It's a sole proprietorship. It's just me.
Okay. All right. So just to sort of follow on, I think I heard Ms. Storm say that you don't see this as this office is very constrained in how it operates. It's not political, but you mentioned one of the reasons you wanted to run was fighting for your political beliefs. So why this office?
I'm going to go back to customer service. I've just heard that, you know, the courthouse doesn't have to be a place that you don't want to go to. It should be inviting. You should be able to call in there and get your answers. You should be able to understand when you leave why you came in the first place. It's all about transparency. It's all about making sure that anyone that comes into that courthouse is greeted. It's also my personality. I just want to bring a patriotism into the courthouse. I've said that from day one. And just make sure that anyone that comes in looking for anything, make sure that they leave with everything that they need and understand it.
So are you implying that there's an issue with that now, that it's not
I'm not applying. I'm just making sure that that's what I'm telling you will happen if you elect me.
Okay.
Maria.
So, Ms. Storm, you commented that you have cut staff through attrition by one. How many staff are in the circuit clerk's office right now?
I have 9 full-time employees and 1 part-time.
Okay. And, you know, if you talk to anybody in the court system, they'll say that the volume of cases being filed and so forth is expanding, but yet you're able to do that. And is that mainly through technology? Can you talk? You mentioned a couple things in terms of technology, but can you sort of elaborate on that? You know, because typically when a system grows, you need more people to operate that system, but you're saying not so much here.
Yes, ma'am. With electronic filing, everything is coming in through the computer. In the old days, we used to have to look at each and every piece of paper, open envelopes, separate it to what department it goes to. We don't have to do that. My entire staff has access to the dashboard that comes in of every case filing. And the funny thing is, we have attorneys that file all night long. So now they don't have to leave their office at 9 o'clock and come in to file the papers in the clerk's office. It can be done 24/7. So everyone has access to what their assigned duties are in the office, their case types they're responsible for, and they can much quicker go through this in electronic format much quicker than they can with the paper. We don't have to take the paper and then go grab the paper file, put it in that paper file, and put it back into the filing cabinet. So our space needs have also reduced greatly. Actually, I just switched places in our storage unit with our magistrate clerk. Her needs have grown, mine have shrunk. With our record retention, we are able, with digitized records, to be able to dispose of certain records with approval from the State History and Archives. But with this, less time is wasted on very, time-consuming menial tasks that just don't need to happen anymore now. So my staff has time to do other things.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Renner, a question for you. I noticed on your Facebook page that you had made reference to a sign that was posted or had been posted in Ms. Storm's office about masking. And your comments are, hopefully this sign will come down. Can you sort of speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. I'm referring to the mask sign. Actually, that sign's an improvement over the one that was there prior to that, which was no mask, no entry. But that sign, being a bus driver for 8 years, and especially after COVID, it broke my heart to see masks on children. I know that's beside the point, but I went to a lot of Board of Education meetings. I fought every day to get those masks off those kids, especially the summer after COVID, those children in that hot bus with those masks on. It was heartbreaking. February 21st, I will never forget the day, is when the mask came off the children. Legally, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And I was still shocked that there was a mask on the courthouse door, on the front and on the side. Soon after I filed, the one on the front came down, and I'm like, well, that's awesome. But the one on the side has never come down. So why do we have to have a sign that says mask encouraged, not required, especially since we've gone through this whole thing with COVID, and now we're at so far advanced that we have come up with more science that it basically did not really help at all. Why? I mean, do you expect when you see that sign, do you expect to walk in and see everybody in mask, or do you expect to see nobody in mask? I'm confused on that sign, and that's why I posted that.
We can move to closing statements unless you have a follow-up, Steve.
A follow-up to Ms. Storm, because I think, is that something that you do, or is that something that the court decides?
Exactly. It's not something I have any control over at all. I have with me all 3 orders from May of 2020, August of 21, and February of 22 that mandated these signs that instructed bailiffs were to enforce the judge's orders. The common areas of the court complex are under the control of the judges, not me. I am downstairs from family court. So this is their building as well as mine on the first floor. I am only responsible when you come to the window to talk to one of my staff. I had long conversations with my staff who 8 are of a different party. So I got their input as to what they wanted within the office. They wanted everybody in masks. You get up from your desk, they wanted you to have a mask on. I went with what they wanted inside the walls of my office. Outside of those walls, in the hallway, common areas, and the doors, I have absolutely no control of nor authority for anything. I was directed by my judge to place a sign on there that only said they are encouraged but not required. I still have very many litigants that come into our office that choose to wear a mask. I have employees that may have a spouse that's sick. They come in wearing a mask. I do not make anybody wear a mask in my office.
So just in terms of rules, though, this is more akin to I can't bring my gun into the courthouse. I can't bring my cell phone into the courtroom. I mean, the judges can't bring a camera.
These are all orders by the judges, and I believe years back we did have an incident where somebody did bring a gun into the clerk's office, and it was in relation to a domestic violence case that was ongoing. Now, this was a law enforcement officer from another state. But Judge Sanders with the sheriff at that time, Sheriff Shirley, they got together, found there was federal code that also backed it up that no guns were allowed in the courthouse. Anywhere there is a judicial hearing going on. So you have our main courthouse, you have our magistrate court building that also has the circuit court on the 3rd floor, and then you have my building that has family court in it. These are all a part of the judicial complex of which the judges have control over all common areas, doors, everything. Inside of a elected office, they can do what they want to do. That is their responsibility. Outside of that, they have no control.
Very good. Tina?
My follow-up to that is I think it's sending a mixed message. I understand, because I did a little research, that the county commissioners decided not to have a mask mandate in the courthouse total. The judge, absolutely, he could do whatever he wants to do in his courtroom, but as the common area of the people's house, it was posted, no mask mandates were required. So, and I'm just kind of curious how there's one sign on one door and another sign on the other, but we'll figure that out some other time.
Was there a follow-up to that you wanted, Laura?
It's not under my control what sign is put up. It is totally out of my hands, whether it's sending a mixed message or not. County Commission is in charge of the buildings that house County Commission employees. Those employees are not in the circuit clerks and family courts building. They are not in the magistrate court building, nor are they in the courthouse. The Hunter House, the maintenance building, that is absolutely under the County Commission's control and authority, and they can say no mask mandate. But I did find it kind of funny the day they did that. 2 days later, I went up to the Hunter House, and there was a sign on the door that said no mask, no entry. And I brought this to somebody's attention. I said, it wasn't me sending any mixed messages. My only problem I ever had in my office was somebody from the sheriff's office that would come in and not mask up, and my staff was begging me to enforce it for that person coming to a window to make sure they wore that mask. So I asked the sheriff to direct this person to do that. It's the only incident I ever had. I never had any other complaints regarding masking in my office. People were actually very appreciative of it, and especially jurors in a courtroom.
Let's move on to closing statements now. Tina Renner, we will begin with you.
All right. Once again, thank you, WRNR, for having this forum. I'd like to say the last 2 years have been very difficult on all of us. I know as circuit clerk, I can't get a magic wand and wave it to make inflation go away or disappear, nor can I lower fuel cost. But I can assure you that everyone that interacts with the circuit clerk system will be greeted pleasantly, will be greeted and will be efficiently serviced, and because we work for you, the Jefferson County taxpayers. I also know that the last 2 years have been very difficult, but I do and I pray that there are better days ahead. I'm asking you to use your voice and make it be heard and vote for a candidate who will do whatever they can to help and serve the residents of Jefferson County. I would be honored if you vote for me, Tina Renner, on November 8th as your circuit clerk of Jefferson County.
There I am. Thank you, Tina. Laura Storm.
I have for the last 24 years volunteered in my community. I have tried to give back as much as humanly possible to my church, to the courts, to the treatment courts of Jefferson County. I have poured my heart and soul into this county way before I became an elected official. I am very much invested in this county, and I have worked tirelessly to create an atmosphere of cooperation, communication with all other officers and agencies that we work with in the clerk's office. And I have proven over the years that I'm accessible to anyone who calls or comes to the office and asks to see me. I have never hidden behind my desk. My county residents know me, and most importantly, know they can approach me at any time and at any place, and I will listen and assist them in every way possible. I know the courts can be a scary place, so if I can empower someone with information or direction on where to find that information, then I have made a difference. My responsibilities to the citizens that enter our office and the court are immense. The need to provide knowledge, compassion, and kindness is paramount. I am running for re-election because I love serving this county, and I want to continue my mission of providing the highest level of service possible while offering that kindness and compassion to litigants as they navigate through the court system. I am limited on what I can say and do. I am not an attorney. I can offer direction as to where to go find it. Here's phone numbers for lawyers, public defender's office. I can assist in that way. We have court forms we can give the public. I am very limited as I'm not an attorney in what I can give out. The law dictates what is transparent in my office. I have no control over that as well. I am Laura Elizabeth Storm, your circuit clerk, and I humbly ask for your vote so I may have the honor of continuing to serve the county I love so much as your circuit clerk. And thank you, WRNR, for holding this.
Thank you both very much for coming today. We appreciate your time, and we wish you the best of luck on Election Day.
Thank you.
More to come right after these.
Come out and support the Martinsburg High School football team, cheerleaders, velocity dance team, and marching band Thursday, October 27th from 5 until 8 p.m. at Coburn Field at David M. Walker Stadium for the Martinsburg Bulldog Bash. There'll be door prizes and giveaways during the event, as well as performances by the Bulldog Band, MHS cheerleaders, and the velocity dance team. Can't make it to the event? That's okay, because we'll have live coverage on TV10 and WRNR TV on YouTube. For more information, contact Randy Brown at 304-616-0605.
The Honda Civic and the Accord are uniquely stylish in their own way. But you know what they have in common? Reliability and comfort? Sure. Available turbocharged engines? Of course. But also, the driver, having fun for no reason, except for the thrill of driving a Honda. America's most loved auto brand.
CMA's Honda of Winchester, 3985 Valley Pike. CMA, moving lives forward.
2021 American Customer Satisfaction Index, ACSI, survey of customers rating the performance of their own automobiles.
This is Eric at Hagerstown Ford. Over the last decade, the way we buy things have evolved. Now, you get on your phone, click Want It, and it shows up at your front door. At Hagerstown Ford, it is that convenient. We've changed the car buying experience on the I-81 corridor forever. And with a return policy better than Walmart, there's absolutely no reason to buy a new or used car, truck, or SUV anywhere else. Just like Amazon, Hagerstown Ford will deliver the vehicle to you, where you are, and on your time. And if you don't want it, return it. No questions asked. Why waste your time at a car dealership playing the dumb back-and-forth games? Besides, we hate it more than you do. I assure you, no dealership from Winchester, Virginia to Washington, D.C. will beat our price. No dealership from Chambersburg, Pennsylvania to Baltimore, Maryland will beat our price. And no other dealership will allow you to return it if you don't want it. Hagerstown Ford absolutely provides the best experience at the best price. Visit HagerstownFord.com to schedule your VIP experience. Click on the vehicle you want and get your new ride delivered to you at no risk. See dealer for details.
In this segment, we meet two additional members who are candidates for the county commission in Jefferson County, John Doyle and Jennifer Krause, of course. You'll each get a minute to open, tell us about yourselves, and another minute at the end to close. That's not a strict minute. You can go over by a little bit, of course. Our panelists will ask you questions in between. If your name is brought up by the other at any point and you would like to directly respond to the way or manner in which your name or action was brought up, you certainly have the opportunity to do so. Just give us a little signal and we'll go to you directly. Jennifer, we're going to open up with you with the opening minute. You have the microphone.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Krause, and I'm running as a Republican for
Could you move a little closer to your microphone, Jennifer?
Oh, you can't hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry. I'd like to thank... I don't want to eat it.
You won't. You won't.
I'd like to thank WRNR for hosting this forum and allowing all of us candidates to have our voices heard. I've listened to career politicians promise that they have the solutions to today's problems. People who have been in office 20, 30, even 40 years claim that if we give them one more chance, one more vote, this time they'll fix things. The truth is that they don't have the solution. They're the problem. I decided that if I wanted to make things better, I would have to get involved. I started attending meetings, speaking out, organizing parents, and writing letters, but that wasn't enough. The career politicians simply don't listen to the voices of regular people. I've been out all over this county talking with residents, and they are concerned with issues such as EMS, personal property rights, a lack of family-friendly activities, and the difficulties of opening a small business here. Another very worrying issue is that a lack of transparency in our local government. Sunshine is the best disinfectant. We must be allowed to be a part of the process. I would like to be a part of the solutions to these concerns that we face. As Commissioner, my votes will always be based on traditional moral values. They will be fiscally responsible, and they will always serve to increase your individual freedom. I am humbly asking that you allow me to serve you, and I would be honored to receive your vote. Please vote for me, Jennifer Krause, on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. John Doyle.
Thank you to WRNR and TV10 for sponsoring this series of debates. I am a graduate of Shepherd University. I was in the infantry in Vietnam, in the Vietnam War. After that, I was on the board of what is now the Eastern Panhandle Empowerment Center, and I was president of the board for a time of what I still like to call PanTran. They call it EPTA now, the Eastern Panhandle Transit Authority. And I've served for a number of years in the West Virginia House of Delegates. During that time, I think I've established a reputation for being an advocate of open government and an advocate for clean drinking water. I'd like to apply that to the county commission. We do need more openness in the government of Jefferson County. We need more sensible planning and zoning. The purpose of zoning is to protect the property values of everybody that lives in Jefferson County. And at the same time, in terms of EMS, I disagree with the conclusions that the county commission has come up with in terms of EMS. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do something, but they haven't thought it through. I'm advocating a series of town hall meetings, one at each of our 7 fire halls, at which we would invite everybody in the emergency service and in the fire service, paid and unpaid, and invite the public, encourage the public to come. And at each of those, all 5 county commissioners should show up and just sit there and listen. I think we'll come up with some ideas that we haven't yet gotten. So I hope you'll vote for me.
Thank you, John Doyle and Jennifer Krause. And now with questions, we begin with Steve Pearson.
Okay. Well, let's lead off with what changes would you make to how the commission conducts its businesses? And we'll start with Ms. Krause.
Thank you. One of the changes I think that would be very beneficial to our residents is to have more meetings accessible to everyone. I do find it difficult being a mother, a stay-at-home mother, to attend the meetings in the mornings, and I heard it mentioned earlier that some evening meetings would be a good idea, and I happen to agree with that. I also believe that it should be considered that we consider having a different forum. I've been to meetings where it has been standing room only at the back of the room, and I think that kind of makes it a little difficult for the average citizen to feel that they're welcome to come and listen or make their voices heard.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes, I think every meeting should start at 7 o'clock in the evening. The regular meetings, and I think there should be one extra meeting per month, not a special meeting, what they call a special meeting, but one extra meeting per month held in different parts of the county solely for the purpose of listening to people.
Thank you.
Maria.
So we know this has been a continued matter of contention, if you will, and just recently the county's finance director has left yet again, and there have been lawsuits on and on about this particular issue of finances in Jefferson County. Mr. Doyle, what's the solution to this problem? Is this the county commission's problem? Is it the finance director's problem? Is it everybody's problem? Whose problem is it, and how do you fix it?
Well, it is ultimately the commission's problem. I mean, as Harry Truman famously said, the buck stops here. That buck stops with the county commission. In my time in the legislature, I was a member of the House of Delegates Finance Committee for 19 years and its vice chair for 10 years. I do think I understand budgeting. And I think if we all sit down and look at the numbers rather than look at each other's personalities, we can figure this out.
Thank you. Yes?
So I happen to think that it is time for us to tighten our belts with respect to the budget, roll our sleeves up and get it done. Maybe we don't need that position. I'm not sure. I do think that that's an interesting thing to have a look at.
Yeah, if I could, I do respectfully disagree with Jennifer there. I think we need that position.
Okay.
Back to you, Steve.
Okay. Well, let's talk about land use, zoning, Envision Jefferson 2035. Jennifer Brockman, the county planner, was just at the county commission meeting last week, or this week, talking about scheduling for how that's going to be redone. So what is the role that comprehensive plan has played in how Jefferson County has developed over the past 10 years? And how do we ensure that the process for renewing that is effective and gets us another 10 years of a good plan? Mr. Doyle, I'll start with you.
3 things. Public input, public input, public input. We have to make sure everybody has the opportunity to give their ideas. I think the 2015 comprehensive plan was a very good one, and the zoning plan developed from it was a very good one. Unfortunately, there have been too many ad hoc changes to the zoning plan and to the comprehensive plan. I don't think you need to do that. If you want to allow something that isn't allowed, you can have a conditional use permit. I think that solves just about any problem. So I think when we go into this process, which we have to do by 2025, of revising the comprehensive plan, we need to listen to everybody. Ms.
Krause, do you have any?
So I recently picked up my copy of the Envision 2035. It's a binder about that thick, and I've been working on making my way through it. It's got some very interesting ideas, and I do agree with Mr. Doyle that public input is very, very important. It lays out some very good plans for our future.
Okay. So a follow-up question. So that plan is then enacted, the zoning is enacted, and then the zoning commission, the planning commission, is the body that meets and discusses this. And looking at the way the solar ordinance was proposed, the applicant requested a conditional use. The planning commission said, no, we don't need that, we'll just do it by right. And then the county commission, and so a year and a half later, a couple of lawsuits later, the commission finally adopted a conditional use process. So what's broken with that process? I mean, why did it take a year and a half and a couple of lawsuits to get back to, hey, we can do solar with conditional use? Because that's
what's broken is both the planning commission and the county commission didn't understand that all they needed to do was get a conditional use permit. That would have saved lawsuits, everything.
But how do we get planning commissions and parks and rec commissions that, are diligent and responsive, and what you talked about, make sure that they are also collecting that public input?
I think you have to be very thorough in selecting people for these boards and commissions. We need to get people on the planning commission that understand the purpose of planning. That's all we need to do. I think not everybody on the planning commission right now understands that. Did you mention Parks and Rec? Mm-hmm. I think Parks and Rec has done an excellent job. That's one of the parts of county government that I wouldn't change at the moment. But there are other things that I would.
So, Ms. Krause, because I know you've been attending a fair number of commission meetings, what would you change about the process of selecting and appointing people to these boards and commissions to ensure that we don't, again, waste our money on lawsuits and waste time, and that these commissions are being effective?
I think it's very important to have good communication between these boards. It's very important to lay out very clearly what the job is that needs done, so that the people that are being selected are very well aware of what it is that they're being asked to do.
But should there be minimum criteria, or should there be a process which the public gets to weigh in on this? Because
I certainly think the public should always be allowed to weigh in on everything that's happening in our county government, at any level of government, honestly. But that's something I'd like to look into. I don't have an answer for that right now.
Okay. Do you think the process by way, because what I've seen is that the positions are advertised, they held interviews, and then they vote to appoint at the same meeting. There's no hearing, notices, discussion.
I do think there needs to be much more notice when there's an appointment that comes up to any of the boards and commissions. Absolutely. I don't think you need to have minimum requirements for anything. For example, we don't need necessarily a planning commission full of professional planners. There are a whole lot of citizens that understand what planning is all about. And you can find this out when you interview them, if you ask the right questions.
Maria.
Excuse me. So, Mr. Doyle, you made reference to Parks and Recreation and that organization doing a great job. So, how do you balance sort of the whole piece of fiscal responsibility with making sure that Parks and Rec and libraries and all of those places get the funding that they need to operate efficiently?
If I might quote an old Republican senator from Texas, Phil Gramm, budgeting is prioritizing. You do have to balance all of it. And that's why you have to ask probing questions. What is it you really need? And then you come up with the answer about how to balance it. And it could change from year to year, depending on what comes up that a given agency needs.
Okay. All right. Ms. Krause?
Well, certainly these days, everything is so much more expensive for everybody, for families trying to afford gasoline, trying to afford food. With inflation, what it is very important to look at the yes, it's about what do you need, but it's also about what is most important. And it is very important that we consider those things as commissioners when we decide handing out money for the budget.
So what would you say, and I will ask Mr. Doyle this too, what's the most pressing need for Jefferson County right now?
Right now, in my opinion, it has to do with public safety, law enforcement, and fire and EMS. And that's not just my opinion. As I've been out door knocking and talking to many, many residents, a lot of people are very, very concerned. They're not hearing. One of the issues has to do with transparency, and that is a very real problem. Their concern, number one, is that they don't know what's happening. And number two, they can't find out very easily what's happening because of executive session and things like that. And number two, what's going to happen? There's so much uncertainty about how's the ambulance going to get to me if I live in Shepherdstown and they're in Charlestown. It's a very important matter to a lot of our residents.
Okay. And Mr. Doyle, what's your thought?
I've been out door knocking too, and she's right. I want to give you an example of why I think this emergency services plan has not been thought through. In Shepherdstown, there are 4 railroad crossings: Morgan's Grove, Washington Street, High Street, and German Street. Periodically, freight trains stop there and don't break up. If someone just over there, say in Glen Meadows, needs an ambulance right away, and the Shepherdstown ambulance can't get there, if we've got an ambulance in Bakerton, they can get there in a reasonable time. But if we eliminate the ambulance from Bakerton, it's going to have to come from Harpers Ferry or Charlestown. Again, just an example of why this hasn't been thought through. Again, we probably have to do something, but it should be after we listen to the people who are involved.
Thank you.
And as county commissioners, before we wrap up this segment, I would like to get your opinions on potential county commissioners, on Amendment 2 and how you would be approaching that as a voter and as a potential county commissioner.
I'm a no on Amendment 2. It will devastate local government all over the state.
Jennifer Kraus.
I'm a yes on Amendment 2. I believe that in order to begin the process of getting rid of the property tax and the business inventory tax, that is the obvious first step to vote yes. There are a lot of business owners in our county who keep their inventory outside of our state because they're taxed on it. And honestly, I hear from an awful lot of people also while door knocking asking about the ambulance fee, which we weren't talking about at all, but also about this bill that they get every year that they have to continue to pay property tax on
against
something.
2 or for it?
I'm so sorry. Excuse me.
That's okay.
So sorry. I'm for it.
Okay.
Please let me clarify. I do apologize. Little scatterbrain this morning, but thank you very much for
you're welcome.
I appreciate it. So yes, thank you.
So let me ask you, in the context of what we were talking about earlier about the fiscal responsibility and leveling of the county, how does taking a source of revenue that the county can plan for when it's planning for, budgeting for law enforcement, budgeting for schools, budgeting for parks and recs, putting that to the state legislature and hoping that the formulas will be consistent and equivalent, how does that help us maintain the fiscal stability of the county?
State government, there are a lot of options on the table in order to backfill that gap.
But when I go to the casino, there's a lot of options on the table. So how do we have that certainty?
Well, that's a good question. I don't have an answer to that.
Mr. Doyle,
well, the legislature's approach, and I voted against putting Amendment 2 on the ballot. The legislature's approach is, if you vote for Amendment 2 and you eliminate all this money going to local government, trust us. I think that is fiscally irresponsible. A fiscally responsible version of Amendment 2 would have identified an alternate source of revenue for the counties and let the counties have it. Again, this is down to local control again. If we take this source of money away from the counties and cities and local school boards and say the legislature has the option every year of replacing the money to another degree, to an additional degree, we make local government dependent on state government, and I just don't like that.
Let's move to closing statements, and John Doyle, we'll begin with you.
Thank you for having this. I ask for your vote again. I think we need more openness in government. I think we need more fiscal responsibility in terms of the way we do the budgeting. We need better planning and zoning. And what I didn't mention at the beginning, and I'm sorry, I forgot, clean drinking water. I think in the next 3 or 4 years, that's going to become as important an issue as emergency services is now, and we need to be ready for it. Thank you.
Jennifer Kraus.
Thank you for having me here and allowing me time to share with your listeners my views on local issues here in Jefferson County. I'm Jennifer Kraus, and I'm running as a Republican for Jefferson County Commission. While door knocking all over this county and speaking to a great many of our residents, I tell them proudly that I am not a politician. I am simply a regular person just like them, and that I want to do my part for this beautiful county. I think it is very important to hear what is on the minds of our residents. A majority of them are very concerned with what is happening with our EMS. Others are bothered that there simply isn't enough for families to do here, and travel to Frederick, Hagerstown, and Winchester is a regular occurrence for many because of that. Some are worried about maintaining personal property rights. Still others are interested in opening a business and have found out just how tough that is to do here. Public safety is another important issue for our residents. We must be sure our police are adequately funded. My campaign platform centers around 3 things: faith, family, and freedom. It may sound like just some slogan, but these are the foundation of my life. I am inspired by my faith to live my life as a servant leader. The best leaders never forget that they are servants. I am inspired by my family. I am a wife, I am a mother of 5, and I am a grandmother of 1. I am genuinely concerned for the futures of our children and grandchildren, and I want to do everything I can to make sure it's good for them. And I am inspired by our founding fathers to fight for freedom. It doesn't come from government bureaucrats or career politicians. Our freedom comes from God. Politicians who forced shutdowns and school closures must be held responsible. Vote them out. They have gotten a taste of power and they like it. Don't think for a moment that they won't use that power again. I would be honored to receive your vote on November 8th. I am Jennifer Kraus, Republican for Jefferson County Commission. Thank you.
I thank you both very much for your time this morning and for your participation, and I wish you both the best of luck on the election.
Thank you.
We are back with more right after these.
Hello, my name is Ron Winger, and I'm asking for your vote for delegate in District 96 on November the 8th. I am your pro-choice candidate. I believe that what a woman does with her reproductive rights is her business and hers alone. I am a Vietnam veteran and served the state of West Virginia for 23 years in the Air National Guard. I believe in our local school systems, and I will fight to support them. My name is Ron Winger, and I would appreciate your vote on November the 8th. Ad paid for by candidate.
If you're in an accident, the first thing that you have to do is call 911. You have to get medical care immediately.
The next thing you need to do is call us. When you hire us at the Skinner Law Firm, what we do is we are going to investigate your case, and we're going to lay out the options that you have, all at no cost to you.
We will use all of our resources and all of our experience to get you what you deserve.
The Skinner Law Firm, SkinnerFirm.com.
Let's go! Drink some beers! Mountaineer Grill and Pub!
Mountaineer Grill and Pub offers many daily specials, including Trivia Night Monday, Karaoke Tuesday, Steak Night Wednesday and Sunday, Thursday night Boneless Wing Night, and on Friday and Saturday nights, there'll be a DJ and or karaoke. And remember, Monday through Friday, happy hour, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., $2 domestic bottles and $2.50 domestic drafts.
Let's go! Drink some beers! Mountaineer Grill and Pub!
Panhandle Printing and Design is your full-service local print shop.
With over 50 years of combined experience, we know how to handle all of your printing and design needs.
We can handle anything, from small business cards to wrapping large vehicles. Our in-house design team can do it all. As a staple of this community, we love helping people promote their events, businesses, and anything they're passionate about. Envision, create, and bring your ideas to life with Panhandle Printing and Design.
Hi, it's Talk Radio WRNR and TV10 Spencer Dupuis. When I got into a car accident and needed to get another vehicle, I wanted to go somewhere I could trust. So I went to the Heffley Motor Company at 993 Hedgesville Road.
As a first-time car buyer, I really didn't know what to expect. But at Heffley, they treated me like family. Every step in the process was seamless. Not only did they give me a great deal, but they also helped me secure an amazing interest rate. Now I know firsthand why Heffley has such a great reputation in this community.
I ride with Heffley Motor Company, so you should too.
Why are young people leaving West Virginia? Unfortunately, too many of our young people see more opportunities out of the state than they see here in the state. We have to have young people if we're going to have a future. Good paying jobs, recreational facilities, arts, theater. Most young people are looking for more than just a paycheck. They're looking for something that they can grow within their chosen profession. Every time I vote in the Senate, I think, is it good for West Virginia, and will it help keep our young people here in the state?
Paid for by the committee to elect Hannah Gifford, Gary Gifford, Treasurer.
Mayhem is everywhere.
I'm your new bangs, and you can't stop staring at me. That's it. Just tilt the rearview mirror over here. And while you're checking me out more times than a library book, your car is wandering into that lane over there. More bangs? Neat. And if you've got cut rate insurance, you could be paying for this yourself. So get Allstate.
Call Martinsburg Allstate agent Gary Kelly today at 304-263-4596.
Hello? We're here again 3 times in the past 2 days.
You're where?
Bechtel Jewelers. Look.
Can Mom hear you?
No, she's in a diamond coma. Get her the pendant, or I will.
Hey, that's my credit card.
What? Can't hear you, Dad. You're breaking up.
It's gonna take more than a crying baby to wake her out of this diamond coma. You're gonna need a mega dose of jewelry from Bechtel Jewelers.
My kids, you know I want the best for you, don't you? We need to have a conversation.
End-of-life planning is no one's favorite discussion, but the relief of having everything in place when the hour of need arrives is a gift. Give it to your family. Plan ahead with us.
Brown Funeral Homes, a leading provider of cremations, invites you to explore the many flexible options of cremation. From environmental considerations to the benefit of greatly reduced cost, it may be the perfect answer for your family. Online at brownfuneralhomeswv.com. Brown Funeral Homes, here for you.
What came first, the chicken or the egg? No matter what you think, you can have it either way. Rock's new bagel croissant and chicken waffle breakfast sandwiches are made fresh every morning. Rock's local market.
Rise and shine. You're gonna be late for work. Good morning, sleepyhead. Have a good one.
Rock's new bagel croissant and chicken waffle breakfast sandwiches are made fresh every morning. Rock's local market.
In this session, we will meet the 2 candidates for Senate District Seat 16. The incumbent is Senator Hannah Gifford, and the challenger is Delegate Jason Barrett. Each of you would get a minute for your opening statement, and then another minute or so when we eventually close. We will be taking a commercial break about halfway through this as well, and the 2 of you are also back for our Berkeley County segment too, because your Senate district straddles 2 county lines. In between your opening and closing, our panel will be asking you some questions. If your name is brought up by the answer or statement of the other, you're welcome to directly respond once that point has been concluded. Just let us know that you would like to give me a signal one way or the other. For the opening statement, let's begin with Senator Hannah Gifford.
Thank you. Thank you, WRNR, for doing this today. When deciding how to vote in the Senate, I asked 2 questions. Is this good for West Virginia? And will this help keep our young people in the state? I want to build up our schools, not tear them down. I think that a strong public school system is the backbone of the county and a major draw for new businesses. We have children trapped in our foster care system, which lacks people, personnel, and resources.
I want local decisions to be made locally, not in Charleston. And I want women to have the freedom to get good, adequate health care within the state. We have to do more for our veterans. It's not enough to say thank you for your service. We have to make sure they have decent housing and good jobs. Thank you.
All right. Delegate Jason Barrett.
Good morning, Rob, and thank you to Maria and Steve as well, and WRNR TV10 for hosting this community service. As you all do a great job every 2 years. I'm Jason Barrett. I'm born and raised in Berkeley County. My wife Summer and I, along with our 6-month-old son Berkeley, reside in Martinsburg. I'm a local small business owner, own a couple of businesses here in the community. I've served 8 years in the West Virginia House of Delegates, 6 years on the House Finance Committee, where I've developed a really in-depth knowledge of our state's $4.6 billion general revenue budget. It's no secret that the state of West Virginia in fiscal year 22 had a $1.3 billion general revenue surplus, and in this fiscal year 2023 we're projected at $1.6 billion. I think it is long overdue for a tax cut for the residents of West Virginia. I think that you will hear a very clear contrast on that issue and others as we move forward with this debate, but I've always put the Eastern Panhandle in West Virginia first and foremost when I decide on how I'm going to navigate through the session, whether that's bills I'm introducing or how I'm going to vote. I've been able to deliver for the Eastern Panhandle on numerous occasions in an environment at times where it's difficult. We have very unique challenges in the Eastern Panhandle, and a lot of times it's hard to sell some of those to the rest of the state. But the relationships that I have with folks on both sides of the aisle, I've been able to deliver for the Eastern Panhandle, and I know moving forward I'll be able to do that in the state Senate.
Thank you both. And now for the first question, Steve Pearson.
Okay, well, thank you for coming. Hope we'll enjoy the time here. So I'll start with Ms. Governor as the incumbent. What are your priorities for legislation in the next session? And if you could, also explain why these priorities are important to the Eastern Panhandle.
Well, I think there are a number of things that are important. We have a very different situation up here than other parts of the state. We are a growing part of the state. So one of the things we have to really focus on is having adequate infrastructure, which means our schools, our roads, our water, all those things that make it livable to be here, and what businesses are looking for when they come into the area. They're looking for a functioning community, and that's the things that we have to focus on as we're in the legislature.
Do you have specific legislation you'd like to introduce to support that?
I do, but they're detailed, and I think it would not necessarily be advantageous to try and spend 25 minutes on one piece of legislation. But I do think we need to really remember that this part of the state has different problems than other parts of the state, and we have to make coalitions with other border counties that sometimes have similar situations to what we have here.
Mr. Barrett, how would you?
Well, Steve, thank you, and I appreciate the question. Moving forward, I think I've outlined it already, and that's tax cuts for West Virginians. There's no secret that the inflation coming from the administration in Washington is hurting people all over this country, and it's certainly affecting them here in the Eastern Panhandle and all over West Virginia. With that huge surplus, I think it's time to give people some of their tax dollars back. I think locality pay is a huge issue for our teachers and all state workers. We have a crisis right now, not only in our education system with teachers, but also in our corrections. We have National Guardsmen and women in this state right now working in our jails because we don't have correction officers. I was the lead sponsor of a bill last year that provided locality pay for our correction officers, as well as a co-sponsor of a bill that did the same thing for our state troopers. We made significant progress on that issue last year. I believe more progress on that issue than we have in 10 years. And I'm looking forward to being the champion again on that issue. But again, our correction workers, it is a crisis. It's one that it's often overlooked. We certainly hear a lot about teachers and all state workers, and that's clearly a top priority. But we have an absolute crisis in our corrections. State troopers, we were able to provide a $10,000 pay increase to 641 troopers across West Virginia, and now you've seen the largest class of state troopers graduate in recent history. So that's a clear indicator of what our issue is and how we fix it.
So let's talk about the tax cuts. So you talked about inflation, anticipating likely recession. So we had budget surpluses in the past, and a lot of that came from federal money, correct? So is this the time to be talking about tax cuts when we might be seeing less revenue potential deficits, and then you're also talking about expensive items like locality pay? So how do you balance all that?
Well, I think that when you have a budget surpluses in excess of $1 billion, if it's not time to talk about a tax cut now, then it's never time to talk about a tax cut. And I know there are folks that are going to say that this is all about local control, but that's really a disguise for not wanting to come out against tax cuts, because that's more government money, more government spending is what folks on the left are advocating for. They're just hiding behind the phrase of local control. I think that you mentioned that some of this is from federal money, and that's true. But a good portion of it is from the Republican-led legislature being fiscally responsible over 4 years and having a flatline budget. The natural growth in our state's economy is roughly $140 million per year, and we've held a flatline budget for 4 years, well, 3.5 years. At the end of this fiscal year will be 4. That's $560 million built into every budget moving forward because we've been fiscally responsible. That's how you make tax cuts.
What's your thoughts on the
Well,
tax?
I oppose the proposed tax cut as it's currently structured. The proposed tax cut, 10%, will provide no real help to those who really are the greatest in need. I'm sorry, yes. I'm talking about, yes, the 10% tax cut. For those that make less than $20,000 a year, the tax cut will not provide enough money for them to buy 3 gallons of gasoline a month. Most of the benefits will go to the wealthiest West Virginians, and focusing on income tax cuts for those who make the least will not only improve their lives, but will also improve local economies because they will spend it. This is because low-income people have to spend the money they have for things like bread and milk and the things you need every day in living.
So,
Did you have a response to that, Jason?
Well, I mean, this is the third or fourth forum that we've had, and we've talked about tax cuts multiple times. Senator Gefford has come out against every tax cut imaginable. I'm just curious as to what tax cut she would support.
Well, that's just not accurate.
Well, tell me a tax cut you support then.
What I support is okay, I'm going to tell you what's wrong with this. What we do is we give money back to the people who have the most money. That's not where the money needs to go. It needs to go to people who need the money to spend it on bread, eggs, their food, their rent. If we really want to help the people in our state, we ought to identify who are the people who are falling behind the most. And those are the people at the bottom of the economic scale. It's not enough just to give money to big out-of-state corporations or to the wealthiest in our community. That does not help build our community.
So that's a no on any tax cut.
I'll answer my own questions, Jason. You answer yours.
Which takes us to Maria Lawrence.
maybe I should ask some other question then. How about that? So, so Delegate Barrett, you made reference to the pay issue, trying to get pay for not just teachers but others across the board. And you talked a little bit about locality pay. We've been talking about locality pay since I was the editor at the Journal for 14 years ago. So if not now, how can we not have locality pay when we clearly have a majority of folks in leadership positions from the Eastern Panhandle working to resolve some of these issues? If not now, then when? How do you do this?
Well, I think it has to be done now, and I think there are a couple of ways. I think there are, it's just a salary increase for certain areas. I think that a cost of living adjustment is a possibility. The House Finance, actually the Joint Finance Committee of the House and the Senate, during interims in Morgantown, I believe in May, we heard from Dr. Deskins at WVU, who put together some ideas for locality pay. We are really moving the needle forward on locality pay. It's taken too long to get here, but I can assure you the way to get to locality pay and to focus on Eastern Panhandle issues is to elect someone who has a record of getting things accomplished, someone who will serve in the majority and not sit in the back row of a Democrat minority.
Senator Gefford. Talk about locality pay in specific, about perhaps pay raises across the board. Where do those two come together?
Part of the problem is we train people and then they go to other states because they're paying them more. We see this with our teachers. We see this with our law enforcement folks. We see this with our EMS workers. We have to find a way to pay our people a rate that they will stay here and not run to Maryland or run to Virginia to make more money. We have to pay them a adequate compensation for what they do.
Okay.
Back to you, Steve.
Okay. What state function do you think is most deserving of additional funding, or what state function do you think should be eliminated? We'll start with Senator Gefford.
Well, I'll tell you one that I think absolutely we're falling down on, and that's our foster care system. And I know people really don't want to talk about abortion, but we have to relate this. We're telling women, you must have children. Okay, fine. Then what happens to those children that they can't or won't take care of? They end up in our foster care system. Our foster care system is understaffed, if not completely not staffed in some areas. And unless we are going to be serious about taking care of these children and making sure they're placed in safe, good homes, and making sure there are workers, state workers, who follow these children and make sure they're being taken care of, we're not being responsible. And we have a moral obligation to take care of these children.
Do you have a sense of how big of a shortfall, either numbers of staff or funding?
We do. For example, there's nobody over in Jefferson County right now. You know, we have real problems of staffing, and part of it is because we pay these people very low wages. Their jobs are very difficult, and also there are very few solutions. Where do we put these children? Where will they go? And unless we really pay attention to the details of this and remember that each of these children are real human beings, not just numbers, we're not being responsible.
Mr. Barrett,
would you repeat the question again, please?
What state function do you think is most deserving of additional funding, or what state funding or program do you think should be eliminated? You know, either.
Well, I think our biggest problem with spending in state government is the DHHR. And I think that we need to better prioritize spending within DHHR. It is a huge...
What is DHHR for the...
Department of Health and Human Resources,
okay.
Which is over foster care, Medicaid, just about everything. I mean, it is a huge government agency in excess of $1 billion. And I support legislation to be able to divide DHHR up. I think it's a too large, cumbersome state agency that is very hard to manage and is very hard for legislative oversight. I support issues with foster care. I led the charge on $16.9 million for foster care a number of years ago to help provide adequate funding to foster families. Recently, I sponsored an amendment that got passed in the House Finance that essentially would provide to kinship families the same funding that we do to foster parents. And a lot of times, family members want to take in a foster child or take in a child instead of going to foster care, and they're not financially able. And so we're just trying to level the playing field for our kinship families the way that we do foster families. But back to your original question about what to cut. And I think that, you know, with as big as DHHR is, and several years ago we did an education audit, a complete audit in 2012 of our education system, and I think one is needed of DHHR. I think there's a lot of efficiencies that we can make in DHHR. I think there's a lot of hidden money in DHHR that could be better utilized to help the families of West Virginia.
Thank you. So you both mentioned in your materials, in your interviews, education being tantamount to success here in West Virginia. We know that there's been an incredible loss in test scores and student achievement, obviously nationwide, but clearly in West Virginia, especially during the pandemic. We also know that that there is an incredible shortage of qualified teachers, especially in Jefferson, Berkeley County, but also all over the state. What do you do besides pay increases to attract quality people to this career?
Well, who's that question to?
To you first.
Thank you, Maria. I think that the best thing to do with education is to empower teachers and empower parents and get away from a Charleston top-heavy run system that is full of administrators, both on the state and county level. Put more of the resources in the classroom and divert some of the money from a top-heavy system. I think in West Virginia we have 55 boards of education. I don't think that's necessary at all. All that does is waste taxpayer money that should be better used in the classroom and actually educating children, not hiring more administrators. We really only need about 15 boards of education in this state.
Senator Gefford.
Well, I'm not sure any county will want to do that. Every county wants to control their own education system. The first thing we have to do is have some of the people in the legislature stop bad-mouthing our teachers. That has been very distressing to hear about how some of our legislators talk about our teachers and not recognizing that they were the EMS workers for our children during this pandemic. They kept the schools going. So many of them had never worked on the iPads and computer education, but they developed the knowledge themselves to do this and kept our students with lessons, with activities. And it's really disgraceful if you hear about how some of the folks in the legislature talk about our teachers. And in my mind, they were the EMS workers during this pandemic. They kept our children engaged in educational activities.
Thank you.
Steve.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up. Mr. Barrett raised an interesting question about the boards of ed. So the last session of the legislature, the government actually established a new board of education for charter schools. And if I heard you correctly, you're proposing that we reduce the number of boards of education around the state to 15. So here in Jefferson and Berkeley counties, which boards of eds would you reduce? Would you combine these two? Would we be combined with Hampshire and Morgan?
Well, I think when you talk of counties as large as both Berkeley and Jefferson, I think it's acceptable to have their own Board of Education. When you talk about counties, there are several counties in West Virginia with less than 10,000 people. And for them to have all of the staff and the administration in their school system, I think is just unnecessary. In growth areas, certainly in Monongalia County, Kanawha County, where you have large school systems, large population centers in those counties, certainly they need their own school board. But when you're talking about multiple counties with 6 and 8 and 10,000 people in them that border one another, I don't think this is necessary for one school board in every county.
So we've heard a lot about the need to build coalitions and you know, to get the Eastern Panhandle's initiatives, you know, enacted legislation. Have you had conversations with delegates from and senators from these other counties that you're proposing this solution to them?
Well, this is not a new concept, Steve. I mean, this is something that members on both parties of the legislature have supported this idea in the past. And so I think that in counties, very small counties, where we could look at consolidating a school board, I think if we tell those legislators and we tell those parents, this is more money that's going to go in the classroom, we're going to be able to provide more compensation for our teachers who desperately need it to be able to attract and retain quality educators, I think they'd be on board for that. I think that what you see out of the Republican-led legislature right now is really a strive and an effort to make things more efficient, to make government more efficient, and provide the tasks that we're supposed to do for our people.
Senator Gefford, what's your assessment of the receptivity to this idea of reducing the number of school boards around the state?
Well, we're required to have a thorough and efficient education here. And I think the people who live in a community have the best concept of what to do in their education systems. And I think if you start saying, oh, we're going to combine all these school systems, what you're going to have are the biggest counties being dominant and running the schools in other counties. And I don't think local people want that. I think they want to have control of their own school systems.
We are going to do a timeout here, and we'll be back with more with Senator Hannah Geffert and Delegate Jason Barrett after this 4-minute timeout.
Do you have someone in a nursing home, or are you worried about somebody you love going into a nursing home? The law firm of Daniel Staggers can protect your assets. Call the law firm of Daniel Staggers today at 304-267-3915. The Daniel Staggers Law Firm does elder care law, estate planning, and special needs trusts for disabled children and family members. Visit the Daniel Staggers Law Firm for your initial free consultation at 133 East John Street in Martinsburg. The Daniel Staggers Law Firm, when you need asset protection for you or for a family member.
Burke, Schultz, Harmon, and Jenkinson, where accident, injury, and disability lawyers with over 120 years combined local trial experience. When injury or illness has stopped you from working, you may be eligible for Social Security disability. Ron Harmon has been winning disability claims for over a quarter of a century. Don't hire some out-of-state firm. Ron Harmon's in Martinsburg. He will meet with you right here in our office. Get a local lawyer you can trust. Call 304-LAWYERS for a free consultation. 304-LAWYERS or 304-263-0900.
Remember when you were a little kid and saw your first deer?
Oh, how cute.
As an adult, maybe you've had a different experience.
Where'd that come from?
Bambi mess up your dream machine? Call Cody's Auto Body today at 304-901-4777 and get the work done right the first time. Cody's Auto Body, 851 Wilston Street in Martinsburg, has a team of auto body professionals with a lifetime of experience putting your ride back together again, regardless of how it got that way. Cody's Auto Body.
The Palace Lounge in Martinsburg is the place to be this football season. Join us Fridays for Martinsburg Bulldog games, Saturdays for Shepherd Rams and WVU games, and every Monday, Thursday, and Sunday nights for the NFL primetime games. We still have steak night every Wednesday, shrimp nights every Thursday, and now taco and margarita nights every Tuesday. So come on in and enjoy the Palace Lounge. We're located at 1350 Edwin Miller Boulevard in Martinsburg.
If you or someone you know suffers from the disease of addiction, help is available from the Berkeley County Quick Response Team with peer recovery coaches and support promptly to the homes of those who've recently experienced an overdose. This collective effort towards recovery brings resources and services to the community, including naloxone and treatment options. Call 304-267-1313 or visit the Berkeley County Recovery Resource Center, 400 West Stevens Street, Martinsburg. The Berkeley County Quick Response Team is funded through a DHHR grant with the Berkeley Morgan County Health Department.
Larry DeMarco team at Modern Realty Results believes buying a new home requires a dedicated team that cares about your needs and concerns. Our experienced team is from the area, and we care about this community because it is our home as well. Whether it's a $30,000 home or a $3 million home, we will be hands-on and invested throughout the entire process. Thinking of buying or selling in West Virginia? We've got the tri-state area covered.
This is Michael Hornby. I hope to represent the people of Berkeley County in the 93rd District of the West Virginia State House of Delegates. I am a proud father, husband, and small business owner. I believe government exists to serve the people, and we need to keep it accountable to the people. The best process to promote prosperity is within a free market economy. The best education is one that represents what is best for the student, and not centered on an ever-expanding bureaucracy that only supports itself. I immigrated to this wonderful country legally because I believe in what the USA represents. I'm a strong advocate of the Second Amendment and don't think anyone has the right to infringe on these rights. I believe in the right to life, traditional family values, and that a good quality of life is important to all people. As this beautiful county continues to grow and thrive, I believe my diverse and unique experiences throughout my life will help me make the right choice to guide us towards the future and do what truly is best for our county. Vote Michael Hornby, your Republican candidate for the 93rd District, paid for by Friends of Mike Hornby.
And our first question in the second half of our hour with Senator Hannah Geffert and Delegate Jason Barrett for the Senate 16th seat comes from Maria Lawrenson.
I promise this is an easy one. So both of you are from Berkeley County, both of you are from Martinsburg, and this is the Jefferson County forum today. So I'd like to know how you'd get more attention toward Jefferson County from Charleston. Senator Guffert, you want to go first?
Well, the legislators have to speak up for their counties, and we do speak up for both Jefferson and Berkeley County. I think both of us do that. But part of the problem is our problems are so different in this region than other parts of the state that it's hard to explain to places that are completely losing population what it means to have all this additional population. You can just look all over, all the houses that are being built, the infrastructure that we need. It's very different from other parts of the state where they're so concerned about losing population. And I don't know if people realize the reason that we have the pre-kindergarten program is not for a pedagogical reason, although it's really good to have that. It was to keep teachers employed in parts of the state that are losing population. So we have to recognize and make common cause with the parts of the state that are gaining population as opposed to places that are losing population.
Okay. Delegate Barrett.
Maria, would you repeat the question again?
Sure. How would you get more attention toward Jefferson County, specifically from Charleston?
Sure. Well, I mean, Jefferson County has its unique challenges. There's no question, and tourism is a huge economic opportunity in Jefferson County. I've worked on the Hilltop House bill in the past. I've been a strong advocate for that project, and it's finally coming to fruition. I mean, we're talking $130+ million investment into Harpers Ferry, which is going to have tremendous economic impact all over Jefferson County. Certainly, the horse racing industry is huge in Jefferson County. I've worked closely with Delegate Espinoza on issues facing the racing industry, and it's also incredibly important to the farming community. The racing industry does. There are a lot of things that our farmers in Jefferson County do to provide, whether it be feed or other services to those horse race owners in Jefferson County. And I've worked very closely, back to the tourism issue, which I'm really passionate about, and all the figures that we see out of tourism, and Chelsea Ruby, who is the Secretary of Tourism, show a 7 to 8 to 1 return on economic development. When you spend $1, it's a $7 or $8 return in economic development in tourism. So I think that's extremely vital to Jefferson County moving forward, and I've always led the charge and done everything I can to help tourism in Jefferson County.
Thank you both.
And another element of that, part of the reason that tourism is so big is because of our fabulous state park system. And we really have to preserve that and protect it. There are a number of people who want to come in and build things in our state park that would be commercial enterprises. I'm not sure that that's the way we want to go. We want to make sure that our parks are parks and not commercial avenues for a number of folks. And there are things we can do. For example, a lot of people want to be able to ride their horses up through the mountains. Well, there's no reason in our state parks we can't build adequate facilities for that kind of activity. But on the other hand, do we really want a casino in our parks? That might not be the kind of place you might want to bring your children. So we have to be careful of the kind of building that we are doing in our parks and our recreational areas.
Steve.
So, we talked about, differences in different areas. We're growing, some of the rest of the state is not growing so much. What can the legislature do to encourage young people to stay in West Virginia, to build careers here, to start families here, in Jefferson, in Berkeley, but more generally in the state?
That's one of my biggest concerns, is keeping our young people here. We train our young people and then they go off and live in other places because they see more future. So one of the things is we have to be very clear on what young people are looking for. They're looking for jobs that are really careers. Not that any job is a bad job, all work is good, but they want to have jobs that they can build a career on. They want to have recreational areas. They want to have arts and sciences and things in our community that they can take advantage of. And most particularly, they want to have careers that they can make a career, not just a paycheck.
No, I understand, but what can the legislature do to help create that or pathways to these career-based jobs? I mean, what do we seed money? What do we invest? I mean, or what infrastructure do we need to build specifically?
Well, I think we need to know what kind of industries they are before we start building the infrastructure. But I think we need to consult with the folks that are working on economic development and make sure that we are creating the kind of communities that the businesses want to move into. And I will say that the biggest thing that businesses are always asking about are our public schools. How are our schools? And if we neglect our schools, we're not going to get businesses to move here. They want to have an educated workforce. And that's what we can do with our public schools.
So, Mr. Barrett, the same question. What can the legislature do to help encourage young people that say, I want to stay here in West Virginia, work, build a family?
Well, it's about opportunity, different opportunities, whether it's quality education, either through public education, school choice, CTCs, and Blue Ridge here in the district is incredibly important and does a fantastic job training workers for Clorox, for P&G. Those type of things I think would be, if Blue Ridge was the standard for CTCs across the state, the rest of the state would be having some of the benefits that we do. And certainly, we have 9 CTCs in our state. Some of them are declining enrollment. They don't have the partnerships with business that Blue Ridge does. So I think we need to continue to encourage that. We need to have affordable college education. And we in the legislature, I think, should look at controlling when our higher education institutions raise tuition. And certainly the cost of everything is going up with inflation coming from Washington, but I really think it comes down to having affordable education. I think that we have to continue to attract business. We have to treat business fairly. We have the remote worker program that was just passed last year that is allowing folks to live in West Virginia but work remotely in the Northern Virginia, D.C. area. I think is incredibly important. And I think I think one of the things that tourism is really helping out, that I don't think is really their mission, but it's an indirect benefit, is that when you promote West Virginia from a tourism perspective, and you bring people into West Virginia, if they come here, I think they'll fall in love with West Virginia, and we'll attract more people that way. But to keep the folks that are here, it has to be about quality of life. When you're trying to attract or retain folks in their 20s and 30s, they obviously want to have quality education for their children. They want to have cool and fun things to do, and we need to focus more on doing that and returning more of the county's money to Parks and Rec. I've sponsored a bill along with John Hardy, who's led the charge a number of years, to return some of the excise tax money to the county to allow them to use that for Parks and Rec.
So, I was the dean of the community college. I brought the community college to Berkeley County. And we also have James Rumsey, which does an excellent job in training a lot of our young people and adults. I don't know if people realize that adults also get trained at James Rumsey in the kind of jobs that we actually have open here. Plumbers, electricians, all kinds of technical skills that we are training our young people, and importantly our adults who are retooling themselves and changing their careers. We do that right here in Berkeley County.
So that's an interesting topic. If we don't mind, we could drill down on that, the workforce training and readiness and the CTCs. It's my understanding that you wouldn't characterize them as being over-enrolled or bursting at the seams. If anything, the enrollments are low with these in terms of the number of people they graduate. And then, so how do you encourage them as a viable career option? Again, going back, you're in the legislature, what can you do to help, whether it's funding or promotion of that? And then interacting with businesses, how do you make this more of a seamless transaction for businesses to be able to work with these CTCs and develop job opportunities?
That, and they did that when I was dean at the community college. They go and they talk. We have one person that's her whole job. She goes and talks to businesses. She finds out what they need. And what the CTC has done is it's not necessary to have a class of 50 people in it. If they have one person that needs to be trained, the CTC will do that. They will design a particular educational pattern, goals, career training for that one person. For an example, a specialized accountant or something like that. They have been doing that, and we should be really proud. And every single time at the state level they talk about community colleges, they talk about Blue Ridge, that is the gold standard, and we should be really proud of what they're doing. And also James Rumsey, who not only trains young people, but also trains adults.
I don't know that the legislature has to do anything else on that issue. I think that, what Pete Chekovich, who's the head of Blue Ridge, has taken Blue Ridge to the next level and done a tremendous job at Blue Ridge. But if they're able to do it, I think these other institutions should follow what Blue Ridge is doing. And so I don't know that the legislature has to step in and really do anything else. I mean, what the legislature has done recently is provided the last dollar in program so that any student in West Virginia that wants to go to a community and technical college, as long as they apply for grants, scholarships, all of those things, whatever is left over that they still owe, the state picks up in the last dollar in program. I mean, I think that the legislature has done a good job in that. I think that's why you've started to see some of the enrollment come back in some of our CTCs. There are still a couple that are struggling just because of the area that they're in. But I think that we just need to encourage other CTCs to follow Blue Ridge's model. And Chancellor Tucker, who is the head of the community technical colleges in the state, she does a tremendous job working with those institutions to help them develop programs that will meet the needs of the people in that area.
Well, I'll throw out an example. So the Army, for example, does a program for veterans outplacing that they'll pay the wages, for training. Is it possible for the legislature to do a training wage program where they'll guarantee that they'll fund a wage differential so that the business isn't on the hook for a market rate wage, so that they can then train someone who's not, they can't afford to hire them? Is that a program that the legislature could support?
I don't know that I'm going to support. I mean, I have to see something on paper of what you're talking about. I'm not so sure that I'm going to go down the path of the government subsidizing wages for employers.
I will say what is going on, though, is there is a relationship with the unions and their apprenticeship programs. And that is working pretty well. I think we need to expand that. When unions know specific kind of training that their folks need, but also they're working with the CTCs, so potentially these people can also get degrees so that they can advance their own personal career path.
Maria.
Just for the record, I'm doing my part because my 2 young adult children are in the community, are working in the community. So there you go. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Somehow I kept them here. At any rate,
She wouldn't feed them if they were leaving.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to change gears a little bit now. So my household received yesterday from both campaigns a nice flyer from both Delegate Barrett and Senator Geffert. They have a very different feel to them. So I want to talk about how you decide, because apparently direct mail still really works, and to get both of them on the same day, I thought that was kind of interesting. So to start, Delegate Barrett, talk a little bit about what you decided to focus on here, and then I'll ask Senator Geffert the same question.
Could you highlight for those who haven't received those, Maria, what you're talking about?
Sure. So Delegate Barrett has, he talks about fighting for education, promoting families, lowering taxes, and then the back page. Her back page is about changing positions, mainly about changing positions. So if you'll address that first, Delegate Barrett, and then Senator Geffert.
Well, I think your question, Maria, was how do I decide what goes on the mail piece? And I think that comes from talking with voters in the community and talking with folks and having an understanding of what's important to them. I've heard very loud and clearly that folks in the Eastern Panhandle want to see a tax cut. They've seen tremendous surpluses in this state. They want some of their tax dollars returned to them. They want an education system that isn't 49th to Mississippi. They want that parents want education choice that is fair and equitable to all parents. I think those are the things that I focus on because that's what I've heard. Now, the other piece that you showed is a negative piece about me, and it's unfortunate that's the road that the Hannah Geffert's campaign wants to go down. But when you're in the incumbent and you start attacks like that, that's telling the voters one thing: you're behind and you're desperate, and if that's the direction she needs to go, that's up to her.
And Senator Gifford.
Well, that's exactly wrong, Jason, but like so much of what you say, it's not accurate. You talk about what you do. I'll talk about what I do. What I tried to do was say the truth. Jason was elected as a Democrat. He chose to switch parties. He says one thing, but then 10 minutes later, he's going to say another. It depends what crowd he's in front of. It depends what crowd he's in front of. What I say is going to be the same in front of every organization I go to. I don't change my position based on who I'm talking to. And I'm a Democrat. If I'm elected as a Democrat, I will serve as a Democrat. I'm not going to switch parties halfway through.
Well, if Senator Gifford did switch parties, it would be to the Socialist Party, not to the Republican Party.
You don't even know what socialism means, so let's move on.
Is it your turn or my turn?
Well, you just jumped in on my turn.
Well, I could jump in here, too.
Yeah.
Redirect this.
Do you have a redirect for this? Because I can go to another subject.
In a similar vein, so Senator Gifford, you've been serving, in the Senate, and you want to run again, but you're a Democrat. You're in a minority, and in both houses that the Republicans have a supermajority. So why do you want to run again, and what difference do you think you can make?
Well, one of the things it does is, as a minority, we have tried to kill some really, really bad bills. We helped kill some bad bills that wants to minimize medical care for women, that women have to leave the state to get the medical care they feel they need. They wanted to criminalize medical care. We're not going to bring in OBGYNs, and you can talk to some of the health facilities in the area who've tried to bring in OBGYNs. They don't want to move here because they're afraid that the medical care that they feel is responsible for their patients is going to be criminalized. We don't want to do that. We want to have a public discussion about equal rights for women. That's one of the things I brought up. I don't know if you know, in our Constitution, I'm told that the courts have said that we are equal, but it doesn't say that in our Constitution. I tried to get that fixed. And we need to increase minimum wage so that people can afford to go to work. If a woman has to pay, or a man, whoever is the chief child care person in the household, has to pay for professional clothes to go to work, daycare, gas for the car, you have to be able to pay people a living wage so that they can afford to go to work. If it costs me more for child care than I get paid, it doesn't make sense for me to go to work. So we want to flip that so that folks can afford to go to work.
Mr. Barrett, so you've spent, I believe you said 6 years as a delegate representative. 8 years. Well, thank you. Why switch to being a senator and representing, because you're again in Berkeley, and but the district actually represents lion's shares in Jefferson County. Why the switch, and why as a Republican?
Well, to answer your second question first, for a long time, there was a West Virginia Democratic Party that was very different than the National Democratic Party. That has been a figment of people's imagination now for quite some time. And there is no difference. It's a distinction without a difference now. The Democratic Party in West Virginia is as liberal as Senator Gifford, as liberal as Nancy Pelosi, and every liberal Democrat in Washington. There's no difference anymore. Why I'm running for the state Senate is because it's better to be a member of one of 34 as opposed to one of 100. They have the ability to get more things accomplished. It's an easier path to get bills on the agenda. And I have a proven track record in the House of Delegates of getting bills passed specific to the Eastern Panhandle that benefit people here as well as all over the state. And I know that I'm the best person for the job in the state Senate.
I need to jump in here as we're just about out of time, so we'll go to our lightning round, as they say on the game show circuit, regarding the 4 amendments that are out there. And I'll start with you, Senator Gifford. Will you be voting for Amendment 1, yes or no?
For Amendment 1?
Amendment 1.
Amendment 1 has to do with due process as much as anything else, and I am for Amendment 1. And
So yes on Amendment 1?
yes.
Okay, Amendment 2.
No, excuse me. I'm no on Amendment 1.
No on Amendment 1.
Yes, because of the due process.
I'm not going to count that as a flip-flop, Jason, by the way. All right, yes, so no on Amendment 1, Amendment 2.
On Amendment 2, I am opposed to Amendment 2.
Amendment 3.
Amendment 3 is fine.
Yes.
Yes.
Amendment 4.
And Amendment 4, I am opposed to.
All right, Delegate Jason Barrett, Amendment 1.
Well, I don't need the three-ring binder to tell me how to vote. I'm supporting all 4 amendments.
So yes on 1?
Yes.
Yes on 2?
Yes, sir.
Yes on 3?
Yep.
Yes on 4. Very good. Let's go to closing statements then, and I'll begin with Senator Hannah Gefford for the closing statement.
On every vote I take, I try and think, is this really going to benefit West Virginia as a whole, the Eastern Panhandle specifically? Is it going to help keep our young people here? And are we going to try and create a community that's good for all our people, not just a segment of our people? And will it help to really build our Eastern Panhandle into a community for all of us?
Right, there we go. Delegate Jason Barrett.
Thanks, Rob. And again, thank you to WRNR and TV10 for hosting this debate. Looking forward to the Berkeley County portion of it tomorrow. Again, I'm going to come back to tax cuts. That's what I hear from folks. Again, we have these huge surpluses in fiscal year 22, even larger surpluses in fiscal year 23. And I think it's time to give people some of their hard-earned wages back to them to fight the inflation coming out of Washington. One of the things that we didn't get to talk into Amendment 2 too much today, but with Bill Stubblefield here tomorrow, I'm sure that we'll get to that tomorrow. But how it directly impacts Jefferson County that a lot of folks aren't thinking about or maybe not aware of is that the farmers in Jefferson County all run businesses. Whether they have an LLC, a sole proprietorship, or a corporation, they're running a business. And all of their farm equipment, whether it's tractors, combines, any of that equipment that they use on a daily basis to operate their farm, if Amendment 2 passes, would give the legislature the ability to eliminate the tax on that farm equipment. And I think that's incredibly important to the people of Jefferson County. Again, I look forward to tomorrow's forum again, but I really appreciate this opportunity, and I humbly ask for your support on November the 8th.
Delegate Jason Barrett, Senator Hannah Gefford, thank you very much for your time today. We appreciate it. Best of luck to you both on Election Day. And to Steve Pearson and Maria Lawrenson, thank you for your participation as well today.
You're welcome.
Very much appreciated. That'll wrap up our coverage of our Jefferson County Day. We will have a separate Berkeley County Day as well. And if you're watching this or listening to it live, then you know that will begin tomorrow morning again at the Holiday Inn at 8 a.m. I want to thank Mike Hornby and Donna Schaffner, also Colin McLaughlin and Braden Schaffner, too, for their help today with this from a technical standpoint, and to Nick Berzolini, Spencer Dupuis as well for being the roadies last night. That will conclude our coverage from the Holiday Inn. Thank you for watching and listening on TV10 and Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg.
Since 1991, the Eastern Panhandle Business Association has been the premier advocate for small business at the state capitol in Charleston. Over the years, our support for key economic reforms and the candidates to make that happen has been successful. As a result of our efforts, every West Virginian is better off. In the upcoming election, we endorse the following candidates. For State Senate, Charles Trump in the 15th, Jason Barrett in the 16th. For House of Delegates, Don Forst in the 91st, Mike Height in the 92nd, Mike Hornby in the 93rd, Larry Kump in the 94th, Chuck Horst in the 95th, Eric Householder in the 96th, John Hardy in the 97th, Paul Espinosa in the 98th, Wayne Clark in the 99th, and Bill Ridnour in the 100th. Please join us in supporting these great candidates this Election Day on November 8th. Also, vote yes for all 4 amendments, paid for by the EPBA PAC.
Panhandle Printing and Design is your full-service local print shop.
With over 50 years of combined experience, we know how to handle all of your printing and design needs.
We can handle anything, from small business cards to wrapping large vehicles. Our in-house design team can do it all. As a staple of this community, we love helping people promote their events, businesses, and anything they're passionate about. Envision, create, and bring your ideas to life with Panhandle Printing and Design.
Providing reliable protection since 1877, we are Farmers and Mechanic Insurance Companies. For over a century, we have been dedicated to provide dependable insurance protection and excellent customer service. We specialize in auto, home, farm, and business insurance. Our products are backed with personal, hands-on service. You can trust us to protect what matters most to you. For all of your insurance needs, there's Farmers and Mechanics Insurance Companies.
WVU Heart and Vascular Institute offers world-class heart care close to home. Our board-certified physicians are performing groundbreaking procedures using cutting-edge techniques, and that's why we're expanding our services to every corner of our region, so you don't have to travel far to receive the great specialty care you deserve close to home. Now accepting new patients at all locations in Martinsburg, Hagerstown, Shepherdstown, Winchester, and at our newest office in Ranson. WVU Heart and Vascular Institute, world-class heart care close to home.
Hello, this is Mark Sutton of the Sutton & Janelle Law Firm. The right attorney can make all the difference in your case. That's why you should call Sutton & Janelle. We have been serving clients in West Virginia and Maryland since 1999 in the areas of family law, DUI, criminal defense, and personal injury. Sutton & Janelle works hard to obtain a favorable outcome for you at a reasonable rate with affordable payment options. Sutton & Janelle values your rights and is passionate about your success. Contact us today at suttonandjanelle.com.
When you're looking for the perfect gift, look no further than L.A. Roberts Jewelers at 146 North Queen Street in downtown Martinsburg. Choose from a huge selection of unique items, from the finest diamonds that make your eyes sparkle to exquisite timepieces, figurines, and collectibles. Buying from L.A. Roberts Jewelers means that you've made the decision to do business with people who've excelled in the industry for more than 100 years. They'll be here tomorrow when you need them, and if you need your jewelry or your watch repaired, they'll do that too. L.A. Roberts in downtown Martinsburg. Old World Jewelers for a new age.
Find that new Chevy truck or SUV you've been searching for right here at CMA Chevrolet of Martinsburg. With over 100 new Chevys in stock, you have options. We have the Silverados, Equinoxes, and more to meet your needs. And we are not selling over MSRP. Get power and fuel efficiency with the all-new Silverado 1500 LTD, space and savings on a new Equinox. And that's not all. Every new Chevrolet has a lifetime powertrain warranty. And did we mention we are not selling over MSRP? Find new roads at CMAChevroletofMartinsburg.com, where owners just care more.
Looking for some nightlife? Then look no further. Laddie's Bar and Grill has a full bar and kitchen, pool table, and entertainment with great food at affordable prices. You can dine in or carry out by calling us at 304-263-5233. Laddie's is open Monday through Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 3 a.m. and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. We serve breakfast all day long, and our lunch and dinner specials are posted every day on our Facebook page. So stop on in to Laddie's Bar and Grill, located at 107 Lutz Avenue in Martinsburg.
Happiness grows here. Orr's Farm Market.
Visit us at Orr's Farm Market, just 5 miles west of Martinsburg, to pick up all your local fresh fruits and vegetables. With our in-house bakery, fresh fruit slushies, and apple cider donuts, you can't go wrong. Live bluegrass every Saturday from 12 to 5 p.m. And check out all that's local and delicious at Orr's by going to orrsfarmmarket.com or visit our Facebook page.
Happiness grows here. Orr's Farm Market.